Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Kresge Gymnasium. Jim Funderburg along with Jim Bellamy this evening on a Wednesday evening. And Jimmy, when I left here Saturday afternoon after the Britons had taken care of business against Kalamazoo, Mr. Bobby Lee looked at me and said, come Wednesday night, it's going to be a big boy game. And I think that's about the best way to describe what we're expecting to see tonight.
You're talking about two of the teams that are perched atop the MIAA at this point in the season. Maybe a little bit of a surprise for the Britons. The Trine Thunder, not as much of a surprise. Usually a pretty consistent team year in, year out. Coach May has done an excellent job this season with a hungry Brit squad coming in one game to the better of the Trine Thunder. 11-4 overall compared to 10-5 for Trine. And they come, like you said, off an impressive win on Saturday. Didn't start all that hot, but they played a lights-out second half. And, hopefully they don't run into that situation tonight against Trine. Trine is one of those teams that can let a team, kind of struggle in the first half. They can play some tough defense, very athletic, very physical. And, if you fall behind early to a team like Trine, those upper echelon teams in the conference, it is going to be harder to come back. But the Britons do have experience kind of grinding those wins out. This might be another one of those games. They're going to have to grind it out.
Everything started the first day of January in league play. The Britons are 4-0. The Trine Thunder come in at 3-1 tonight. So, both of these teams have taken a liking to this January 2019. And tonight, one of these teams are going to walk out of here potentially with a 2-game lead over the other one if it happens to be Albion winning. And if Trine wins tonight, they deadlock everything at the top. When the coaches looked at it before the season started, Jim, they said it was going to be Trine, Hope, Olivet, Calvin, Alma, Adrian, and Kalamazoo. That's the way that they said the thing was going to end up and play out. And right now, as you take a look at that standings, it's not quite the same, but it's close.
No, the Brits atop with an 11-4 record overall, perfect in the conference so far. A couple teams, Trine and Olivet, at 3-1. Olivet, though, really out of conference, tough out of conference schedule, and they're just a bit below 500 at 7-8. Hope, Calvin, and Alma all 2-2, and then Adrian and Kalamazoo have yet to win in conference play. A lot of basketball yet to be played, so really, you look at a 3-12 versus 11-4 record, you think, geez, oh Pete, there's a lot of separation, but, the only statistic or the standing that matters is the column on the left-hand side, so you're really only 4 out, even if you're at the bottom. So
no doubt,
a lot of conference ball yet to be played.
A lot of conference ball. In fact, after this one, there are 2 more before we hit the halfway point of this season, and then we repeat everything. And it's, I think, important to point out right now, the only loss that Trine has on the season is to Olivet, and that came a couple of weeks ago at their place, at Trine, not on the road at Olivet. So there's a loss there. And one of those 2 losses that Hope has is at the hands of Trine. So you do have a situation where it will be interesting, especially for the Albion Britons over the course of the next couple of weeks. In fact, the next 3 games that they're going to get for Albion is going to be tonight with Trine. Then you've got Calvin. Then you have Hope, and Olivet at Olivet before you return home to play Adrian. So we're going to find out an awful lot in the next 4 games as to how good Coach May's basketball team is this year and how they're going to stack up in this conference.
And like you said, with the top, say, 4 or 5 teams in the conference tending to kind of pick each other off and go 500 against each other, it's probably going to be that kind of season. And so it becomes imperative to win the home ones.
Yeah.
You always talk about how you've got to protect home court. Tonight is a perfect opportunity to do that against a traditional powerhouse in the conference. You're sitting atop right now. You can, like you said, build a 2-game lead in the league, stay perfect in the league, but more important, protect home court, because you got to think when you go on the road to Trine, when you go on the road to Hope, et cetera, sledding's going to be a little harder. And so, and those teams are going to be thinking the same thing, that if we drop one on the road, we got to get the one at home, and they're going to be a little more desperate. They're going to be fighting a little bit harder later in the season. So it's early now. Maybe you sneak one out, and then you announce to the rest of the league that we're for real. And then you go and you try to roll the second half of the season and continue winning.
To give you an idea, Jim, just how tough it is to play at home on this conference, last year, I guess we just go back in time 1 year, and you take a look at how these 2 teams stacked up against one another last year. In 18, when Albion went to Trine, they got blown out 104-74. Trine shot 60% that night from the floor. Albion shot 34%. Trine hit 57% of their shots from behind the three-point line. It was a game that was only a 2-point game at the half, and then Trine ran away from Albion in the second half, 59-31. Then they came here, and basically that was the February game, and the Brits basically were up 72-64 with just under 3 minutes to play in that basketball game. In that last 2:57, they missed 5 shots from the floor, they missed 2 free throws, and they ended up getting beat 76-72. So going from a 104-74 blowout to a game 76-72 that you really should have won, there is the difference in playing on the road and playing in a gym like the Kresge on a Wednesday night.
And that's the beauty and the balance of the MIAA in basketball this year. You saw it last year to some extent. I don't anticipate either of the 2 games that these 2 teams are going to play this season being that significant a point differential. I think you're going to see tighter games in both cases. If you see a team pull away, you may look at maybe about 10 points, 10, 12 points. It's certainly not going to be the anomaly like you had a 30-point win last year. And it's just the conference is getting better, the depth is getting stronger, and especially with the Britons, you and I were talking on the way up here that now you're talking about essentially 2 rotations deep, a lot of speed, a lot of quickness, a lot of vertical ability, and just the ability to get up and down the floor. What they may lack in size, they make up for in athleticism. And so that's going to be the kind of team that's, you're fast, you can move, you can play any style of ball. That versatile style is what's really going to help them. And it's hopefully going to mean that these home games that they may have lost in years past by 4 points, you maybe switch that 6, 8, 10, 12 points the other way, and you start seeing 6, 8, 10, 12-point victories at home at least. And then, start working on your road woes with some of the upper conference teams.
Piece of bad news that we received from Bobby Lee, the SID tonight when we got here. There are 2 players for the Brits that will not take the floor tonight, will not suit up. One of them is James L. Davis, who is the leading scorer on this basketball team this year. The 5'9" sophomore is averaging 14 a game. He has a concussion problem, and he will be out at least this game, possibly some more. Obviously, with concussion protocols being what they are nowadays, they'll make sure that he's 100% healthy before he comes back. And then Jawan Perry, who has a bit of strep throat going through his system at this point in time. So Perry, one of those guys that we talked about in depth coming off that bench, the 6'1" sophomore will not be suited up as well tonight. As far as we know, everybody on the Trine sideline all ready to play some basketball tonight, all dressed up, all warming up and getting ready to go. The crowd's starting to enter the Kresge right now, and I think we're going to have a big ball game tonight on the Britain Sports Network. Why don't we go take a listen to what Coach Jody May thinks about this basketball team, where they're at right now, and what this game tonight means to them here on the Britain Sports Network.
I think your guys have played well. I think last year we spent a lot of time talking about how we didn't think that we had a lot of players in the program that improved from the year before. And I think that this year you saw where these guys put some time in the off season, and where each guy has improved a little bit. And I think that when you win some games early on in the season in our non-conference schedule, you get a little bit of confidence, and we beat some good teams early on. And, I think these guys really like each other, and I think they really get along with each other. And winning obviously helps that, but I think it's a good feeling right now in our program, and not just because we're winning games, but because I think we are all in this together. Well, from a coaching perspective, we knew Capital was really good, and we played them very early in the season, I think the second weekend, and came away with the win. And obviously the next night they turned around and beat Trine. So I think, and then they've gone on, and now they're first place in their league, in the OAC. Well, obviously you want to know what a guy's going to do from night in, night out. That's the easy part of it, but I think that's what coaching is about, and trying to figure out and pull the right, push the right buttons, and call the right plays, and those sorts of things. But I look at it as it's a positive. I think the way our offense is set up and the way our defense is set up is that it's a team, and it's not designed for one guy to score 20 points a game. And our defense isn't designed to have one great player be the stopper. Our defense is designed to be a team, and our offense is designed to a team so that we share the basketball, and we're going to take what the defense gives us, and our guys have been really good about that. And one game a team might take away our three-pointers and three-point shot attempts. Well, then that's when our post players have to step up. And then the next time they might double our posts, and that's when our perimeter guys are getting shots. And so that's the way we're designed, and that's the way it is, so that, hey, I think that's a harder, team to beat when you don't know we're going to take what the defense gives us and not, hey, we got one guy scoring 25 points a game and we're going to always give it to him. So I think it's a positive. But I think if you look at those three games, the consistent thing there is our defense. We've been able to get some key stops at key moments, and and then we've been able to make plays or make some shots. But I think that the thing about it is I think our defense has improved from last year. It's not where I want it to be yet, but if you just look at the statistics from last year, our defensive field goal percentage and our defensive three-point field goal percentage, or and our rebounding it as of so far has improved. And I think that when it gets in the guts of the game, you got to be able to get some defensive stops, and we have. Well, they're a really talented team, and they have a lot of pieces. They have really good perimeter play. They have really good post presence. I think they have one of the most talented players in the league, and that's Miles Copeland. Langston Johnson now on the perimeter for them is playing very, very well and making a lot of shots. And we got to be able to defend. We got to keep them off the foul line and play defense without fouling, and limit their post touches inside so that they don't beat us up inside, because we're still playing. They are bigger than us, and we're still playing a smaller lineup. So I think rebounding and being able to hold our own inside will be a key. And they've always played very good defense, and so we have to be able to take care of the basketball and and get the shots that we need to get.
Back here to the Kresge on the Britain Sports Network on a Wednesday night. Good to have you with us. If you're getting ready for some basketball, I'll tell you what, we've been looking forward to this one since Bobby gave us the schedule here about a couple of months ago. When we circled and saw Trine on the schedule, we both thought, wow, this is going to be a fun night. Crowd's starting to work their way into the gymnasium right now, Jim. The one thing Bob and I were talking about, too, before this all happened, Trine comes in here once a year to play, but they were here for 2 games back in December as part of a holiday tournament that was going on, and they played back-to-back nights here. So this will actually be the 3rd time this year that Trine has showed up at the Kresge to play in this gym. So they're starting to get to feel like this maybe is a second home to them, I think. Yeah,
it's not too far distance-wise, really. And like you said, the 3rd time playing on the floor, you learn all the intricacies, how much give you have on each side's rim, where your range is. And, your range really, you'd like to think it doesn't really matter from floor to floor, but I've always been one of those people that I know, we always talk about this. The court's always the same dimensions, the basket's always the same height and all that. But every floor is different. And if you get more comfortable with the floor, you know what your range is on that floor because of all the things going on in your periphery. The student section underneath the basket, the way the corners are set up and things like that. So the more comfortable you get on a floor, the easier it is to, let go of what happens when you go on the road and all the uncertainties that usually take place in a road environment where you only show up maybe once a year. It almost feels like a home game for them, but that's why it's so important to have an active and vocal student section here. you know, they are going to take whatever little bit of home court Trine may feel being comfortable on this floor. They're going to take it away hopefully before opening tip.
No doubt. Up in your left-hand corner of your screen right now, webcast at albion.edu. If you'd like to talk to us tonight, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you think we're doing, what you need to have a need to know tonight. You can drop us a note, and we'll answer your questions and talk back and forth. Right now, let's take a look around the league. Jimmy, it's a Wednesday night. There are plenty of other ball games that are being played around the MIAA this evening. None of them, I don't think, that are as big as what this one, though, is.
Yeah, you see the schedule there on the screen. 3 7:30 tips. Kalamazoo is visiting Calvin. Hope is visiting Alma. And then, of course, the game you have here, Trine visiting the Britons. And then an 8 o'clock tip, special 8 o'clock start time for Adrian at Olivet. You know, weather not really a concern tonight, so hopefully everybody was able to get where they needed to go without any incident. And we certainly hope everyone is, you know, safe and sound at home wherever you're watching here, especially if you're local. You know, forecast about big snowmageddon coming this weekend and things like that. Could be anything from 3 inches to 215 inches of snow. But, you know, hopefully everybody has safe travels and you're settled in for a fun night of basketball around the MIAA.
Trine's coach's name is Brooks Miller. He's in his 8th season. He comes in with a 10-5 record overall and a 3-1 record here on the conference tonight. As a total career, he is 105-78. And he has made, with his team, 7 consecutive trips to the MIAA tournament. In the conference alone, he is 57-41. He played at Toledo, University of Toledo, and then he transferred up to Hillsdale College. An 07 grad assistant with Bobby Knight at Texas Tech. He's from our part of the country over in Evergreen High School, so he's a Northwest Ohio guy originally. And he brings a basketball team in here tonight, Jim, that has some real spectacular statistics. They're shooting about 50% from the floor. They're shooting 38% from behind the arc. They only give up basically 13 turnovers in a night, and they have 16 assists on a night. And they hold their opponents to 72 points and only 44% from the floor. So you have a basketball team that can score, and they're also going to play some defense on you tonight. And it's going to be a difficult task tonight for the Britons to be able to put some points on the board tonight, and it's going to be imperative too.
And you look at the way the first half went for Trine when they played Calvin. They doubled them up 48-24 at the end of the first half. Calvin had to storm back 46-32 in the second just to make it a ball game, but Trine was able to coast based on that first half to a 10-point victory, and that's exactly what we talk about when we say the Britons can't have a lackluster first half tonight, because you have a really good basketball team who already plays strong defense, and they would love nothing more than to take the Britons and the Britons home crowd out of it early.
Britons are scoring 74 a night themselves. They shoot 46 from the floor, 37 from behind the arc, 38 rebounds a night. They've got 14 assists and 13 turnovers on an evening in their contest. Their opponents are only scoring 70 and shooting 42 and 34 respectively. And it will be some good defense and some offense it's going to take tonight to beat the Trine Thunder this evening. When you look at individual players, I think the guy that sticks out the most to me on this Trine Thunder team is Miles Copeland from Perrysburg. Copeland last year basically owned the Britons. He had 37 points in that 76-72 win here on this floor. Had a good night too down at the Trine gym, but they just had so many players scoring with 104 points on the game that it was really basically him and a whole bunch of other people. And for the Britons tonight, you know what? Nathaniel Collins is going to get the start instead of James L. Davis, and the young senior, 6'2" senior, is going to have a big night tonight to replace those points that James L. would give you.
And exactly to your point, Jim, bench scoring in Albion's victory against Kalamazoo. Albion outscored them 45-26 off the bench. You lose depth because of injury and illness. All of a sudden now you're playing basically, you know, ones and ones, and you don't have as much luxury on the bench as you did, so a little bit less room for error for Coach May's squad.
Should be an interesting night. We're expecting a good game. Both teams are here on the floor right now. We're getting ready for the national anthem and the introduction of the players here on the court. And as soon as the announcer is ready to take it over, we'll send it down to the floor to get you ready for basketball here on the Britain Sports Network. Place going to be rocking tonight, man. You have the introduction, and tonight on our right is the student section. It is packed, Jimmy. I would expect that this is going to be a rocking joint before the night is over. So anybody getting ready to watch the basketball, go get your favorite beverage and something to snack on and sit down and get ready. We got 40 minutes of great basketball here on the Britain Sports Network tonight.
You wanted a Division I feel to a Division I quality game. You're getting it right now. You look at the underneath that right side basket, that student section, there isn't a square inch of available seating really left to be had. It's going to get loud. They're going to be stomping on those bleachers. They're going to make life really tough for the Trine Thunder going that direction. And it's going to just add to the theater that is quality D3 basketball tonight.
Ellis Cummins will be jumping up with Caden Ebling here this evening as we get this thing ready to go. Seniors and juniors starting this ball game tonight, so this is not a bunch of youngsters on this team. Both of these teams have seen one another several times, and Trine will start with the basketball here this evening. As Johnson sings it over to Smith, they'll go right inside to their big scorer, and Miles Copeland will miss the shot, but the rebound comes out high, and Trine will keep the basketball. A drive by Johnson is no good. Ebling on the rebound, 2 tries for Trine, no points, and the Brits will have their opportunity now.
Would have cleaned it up with the rebound, except that first rebound was deflected out. So
Arshwan Parker misses the shot, and the rebound goes to Trine. Marcus Winters will bring it to the front court.
Tried to lean in for a left-handed shot right there, anticipating contact, didn't get any, which is why the shot looked so wild going off his hand.
Pete Smith, the young fellow with the red hair and the beard, another one of those seniors. The jump shot from the lane will not go for Miles Copeland. And the Britons have another rebound and the basketball back.
And the best thing about that possession, Jim, 4 white shirts around the ball. No Trine Thunder near the basketball for a rebound.
That is going to be important tonight because they are giving up just a little bit of size, and you don't want those second point chances. And Trine off to kind of a slow start as Jalen Fordham says, we're going on top. It's my ball. It's my gym. 2-0 Britons.
There's a jab step into the free throw line. Quick step back for a little separation and an easy 2.
Winters goes inside. The turnaround to Ellis Cummins is no good, and the rebound comes off again to the Britons. So a team that shoots 50% from the floor is 0 for 4 to open up the ball game tonight, Jim.
And they're getting a lot of point-blank looks, so it's not like they're firing them up from deep.
Britons with the basketball in a 2-point lead. This is for 3, and it's got nothing but cords, and Jalen Fordham has all 5 points for the Britons here early on.
Somebody knows it might be his night.
And let's hope so. We're going to need a little bit of that tonight. And I believe Jalen's going to be the man maybe this evening.
Reach-in foul, first of the game. It's going against Arshawn Parker, I believe.
2 minutes into the ball game, and the Britons have a 5-0 lead.
Oh, they're going to get that on Garland.
That will go against.
No, there's no way.
It's a wrong. That's
number 3, not even on the floor, Jim.
No, I think you're right with Parker. Jump shot this time will go in for Miles Copeland. So Copeland with his first points of the night after missing his first 2 shots, and it's a 5-2 basketball game.
Can't let them get too deep right there on offense. They're not going to miss too many of those point-blank shots.
Britons with the basketball. Parker lets fly, and he's got one as well. So it's 7-2 as Parker joins the scoring parade.
Don't even need screens. So quick with the ball and with the dribble. Can create his own space.
That's the one thing that I think you're going to notice, Jimmy, tonight. You saw it against Kalamazoo the other day. This is a basketball team that really likes to play defense. Both the men and the women this year have spent a lot of time working on their defense, and hopefully it pays off here tonight. Again, another miss for one by Miles Copeland, and Copeland's 1 for 5.
What do they always tell you in football? Defense wins championships, right? Same in basketball.
Long shots off. Ebling with the rebound, tries to go back up, and they're going to say the foul occurred on the floor, and I believe that'll go against Marcus Winters, but we'll see.
I believe you are right about that, and Ebling got on the floor. They're going to take it out of bounds under the basket, but I like the step with Ebling to get that one more step towards the basket to try for an and-one opportunity.
Miles Copeland with a 1 for 4 start here early with just 2 points.
Now they're marking that one against number 34, Ellis Cummings instead.
Okay. Both of them were down on that block, and let's see. Yeah, they're coming over, and I think Coach.
And he's even looking over.
Coach Brooks Miller was asking as well. Fordham has the ball stripped away, but he gets it right back, and then he steps on the end line. It'll be Trine basketball. That's how quick these guys are, Jim, and that's really been the fun part to watching this team so far.
Yep. Never give up on a play, had it stripped, and sometimes you can just kind of put your head down and give up on a play, but he's so fast. Got to the ball before they could even put it on the floor and almost had to steal.
Winters hands it off to Copeland. Copeland comes out to Smith, who puts it on the floor at the free throw line. Jump shot, no good. And Dylan Bennett is there for the rebound for the Britons.
1 and out almost every trip.
Forden between his legs, then he fires from 3 off the rim, no good. And it's pulled home by Miles Copeland.
You believe every shot's going to drop out of that young man's hands.
Yeah, you really do. And he believes that as well. That's why he fires that thing up, playing defense on the other end.
Definitely a scorer's mentality.
Copeland fires it underneath. Ooh, that looked like an extra step underneath. But instead, Ellis Cummins makes the shot as it bounces around the iron and finds its way to the floor here at the Kresge.
Gave him too much room on the spin right there. You got to cut him off.
Force him to
charge.
Nate Collins had Ellis Cummins in his face. Back out to Collins for 3. Yes! Collins with that little pistol attack onto his right hip. And the Brits up 10-4 here early in this basketball game.
You got to fix the net. That's what he was trying to point to. I don't think, whoever's doing the floor down there, that's what he was trying to, the official was trying to signal.
Had somebody come off the front row. That's something you do, Jimmy. Sitting down there in the front row, yeah, I'll get the net for you, Ruff, no problem.
I would need a boost to get up there to get that. Yeah, usually you have one student, whether it's a SAC member or what, but usually you have a student on both sides. You see on the right side, down under the basket, you have the guy with the, I guess, the floor squeegee or whatever you want to call it. The other side, he gets relegated with a towel. He has to stand up there and stomp the towel into the floor to clean up the wet spots.
First substitution of the night goes to Trine as Ellis Cummings comes over and sits down, and Maurice Hunter comes into the ball game at junior. They'll go right down to the low block to Miles Copeland, and he'll miss another one. He's 1 for 5 now.
They are just stone cold early. This is what the Britons need to take advantage of, though. If they're going to keep missing these bunnies, you got to go down on the other end and score. Put them behind early.
Fordham with another jumper, but it catches the front of the iron. It's no good, and Marcus Winters, who just checked in, pulls down the rebound.
He's taken a majority of their shots so far, but they all look so good. You don't want to curtail it.
Winters, ball into the lane, and a whistle and a foul, I think, against Dylan Bennett.
Yeah, a little hand fighting in there. Got that arm in, mixed in.
And the second substitution of the evening will also go Trine's way. Well, here comes M.J. Barnes off the bench for the Britons, but also Nick Bowman comes in for the Trine Thunder.
And Bowman, a freshman. You're going to see a lot of younger players on both of these teams putting in some meaningful minutes tonight.
He'll inbounds to Smith. Back out front, it goes to Johnson. Copeland out front too, as Britt's doing a good job with him. Smith from deep downtown, off the front iron, no good. Ebling right there for the rebound.
Look who was almost fighting him for that rebound though, man. These guys won it.
Arshawn Parker over to Fordham. Britt setting that offense. Turn jumper, Barnes, no good. Rebound comes off to Smith.
Boy, they are just not afraid to let it go.
Not at all. Johnson with the jumper, no good. Britt's all around that basketball, and Arshawn Parker again with the rebound.
Some of the smallest guys are the ones getting to the rim first, skying for the board. There's just no fear.
One thing that we've seen out of this team, it doesn't really matter whether you're 5'9" or 6'9" on this basketball team. You can get up in the air and you go after the basketball. That's what Coach Jody May requires of all his teams. Smith knocks the ball out of bounds. It'll stay with the Brits.
The real question is, how bad do you want the ball? It doesn't matter if you're 5'9" or you're 7 foot. How bad do you want the ball?
Zach Winston and Quentin Armstrong check in for the Britons here on that dead ball. And on the other side, Jared Bishop comes in for Trine. Ball comes out to Fordham.
That was a long 4 Mississippi right there, Jim.
Parker with a little head fake, and they're going to say he took an extra step as he made his way towards the hoop.
It's that taking your plant foot and kind of dragging that other foot to, kind of fake your defender, and then you kind of lift that plant foot at the same time because your brain's going in 2 or 3 different directions.
Britton shooting 44% right now, 18% for Trine here early on. Britton's with a 10-4 lead.
You hear that student section, Jim.
Trine's going right into it at this point in time. Bounce goes to the low block and then comes back out front. Langston Johnson has no place to go, so he throws it underneath. Oh! And the Britons say, get that weak stuff out of here.
Oh, that'll bring him up.
Yep.
And the best part about that, Jim, what got the crowd on its feet loudest? Defense.
No doubt about that.
Wasn't a slam dunk, wasn't a fast break, it was defense.
Britton's playing some basketball early here. Devin Holmes, 34, also on the floor for the Britons as Smith takes the jumper and even with a hand in his face, knocks that one down, 10-7 now.
Ice water in his veins on that one because the crowd was loud. He's going right into the teeth of the student section.
Smith on the year, a pretty good shooter. You don't want to let him get hot right now. Britons with a 10-7 lead. 3-point shot comes in and out and rebounded by Dishop underneath.
Watch him for running.
Johnson finds Dishop as he runs with him, and just like that, it's a 10-9 ball game.
Yep. Cold start. Britons didn't take enough advantage, and now the Trine Thunder playing some basketball. This is going to be a very fun up and down game all night.
It is going to be a fun game all night long. Zach Winston will give the ball back out to Devin Holmes. Holmes kicks it to the corner to Collins, who'll come back out. Collins he faked the 3. Inside to the rim and in. Devin Holmes gets his first bucket of the night.
Holmes looked like he was going too strong right there, but completely changed direction with a nice soft touch at the end. And there's Armstrong, another great defensive play.
You know what? You said that to me on the way up here, how much energy Quentin Armstrong brings to the floor, and you're seeing that right now.
I just can't believe he's coming off the bench. Shows you how deep this team is. That last year I remember it being one of my favorite players, just the energy that he had. And now, I mean, that energy is matched by everybody on the floor and the bench players, too, that are coming in.
Collins checks back in. Parker will check out. On the other side, Bryce Williams comes in. He's a freshman out of Archbold, Ohio.
Pretty familiar with that area, too.
Very much so. Some good basketball being played in that high school by both the young men and the young ladies in that spot. Jump shot's no good for Langston Johnson, and the rebound comes off to Devin Holmes. Holmes to Collins. Collins looking to feed it underneath to Armstrong instead. He saw a guy moving. That was Collins moving. And the rebound and the putback by Armstrong. And that's the first bucket of the night for Quentin here tonight. And the Britons go back up 14-9.
That's just, it's going to be a game of, I don't think either team's going to put a huge run together, Jim. I think it's going to be maybe 4 or 6, and then the other team's going to respond and put a little 4-point run of their own together.
Williams drives, misses the shot. Rebound is actually tipped over to M.J. Barnes. Ball comes to Collins, works the baseline, pull-up jump shot is good. And Nate Collins making his way down that baseline for his 5th point, and the timeout will go to Trine as the Brits stretch that lead back to 7, 16-9.
It's maybe the kind of game where instead of offering water on the sideline, maybe you just want to give everybody some oxygen. Give them a chance to breathe. Maybe you give the water to the student section down there and let them hydrate so they can stay vocal the entire game. I don't think that's going to be a problem tonight as you see some replays going on here. A lot of great ball movement by both teams. That step into the lane and that soft touch to finish right there, Jim. Thing of beauty.
Britain's shooting 45%, 5-11 from the floor, 2 of 7 behind the arc right now. For Trine, 4 of 16, 25% from the floor, and only 1 for 2 for the three-point land. So they're hitting 50% from behind the arc and only 25%, a team that normally shoots right at 50 from the floor. Trine basketball. Marcus Winters brings it into the front court. Over to Williams. Goes around the wing to Langston Johnson across the court again, and the Brits defense really clogging that lane down.
Marcus Winters not the most popular player on the floor.
Miles Copeland has nowhere to go as he has people all over him. He's going to draw a foul, but boy, that was a tough one. Almost straight up and down. I'll have to go with the officials. Devin Holmes will pick the blocking foul up, and it will send Miles Copeland to the free throw line for a couple, but he was real close at having that thing straight up and down.
Yeah, it's in his case, it's not how you finish, it's how you start. And he started leaning in and then finished by leaning back.
Copeland hit 7 out of 10. He's missed that first one, and I'll tell you what, Miles Copeland is off to a very, very cold start here early.
Yeah, how much of that do you attribute to the student section?
I would think you would attribute some of it. There's no doubt about that, because that's the end he's shooting into right now, and he gets 1 of the 2. But Copeland has had a tough night here early, Jim.
Go to your local gym and shoot 10 free throws, see how many you make, and then have maybe 20, 30 people stand right behind the basket yelling at you and see how many you make out of 10. It's a different environment altogether.
Copeland has 3 points of the night, 1 bucket from the floor, 1 bucket from the free throw line as the Britons bounce the ball inside to Armstrong, who lost it for a minute. Goes out to Holmes, who'll dribble in the lane, puts up the shot, no good, but he fights for his rebound, puts it back up, and he'll be fouled.
That's tough. That's tough basketball right there.
34 fouling 34 in that case, Jim.
Well, that was definitely going on Ellis Cummings. That's 2 on him because of the first one that we thought he wasn't even in the play. But now, according to the official score, that's his 2nd foul.
Holmes goes to the free throw line. He hits 8 out of 10 from the charity stripe, knocks the first one down. The Brits lead now swells back up to 7.
Maurice Hunter checks in, and Cummings with those 2 fouls goes ahead and takes a seat for a little bit. But yeah, that was some physical basketball fighting for that loose ball down underneath. He earned that one.
I'll tell you what, he's been a good pickup, the freshman, 6'5" freshman. And he's really brought a lot more athleticism to this basketball team this year.
Hip check foul right there, unnecessary.
Collins picks up the foul. That'll be his first.
I got to find out we'll have to ask Bobby at halftime maybe what the story is behind Marcus Winters and the warm reception he's getting from the student section underneath the basket.
Arshawn Parker comes back into the ball game along with Jalen Fordham. And sitting down will be Devin Holmes. Holmes, the freshman, giving him some pretty good minutes here early, Jim. Williams with the basketball.
It's impossible to miss.
Student section just down there giving it out here tonight. I wonder if they'll switch sides at the end of this half or they'll stay where they are. Oh, the block by Armstrong.
Return to sender.
Maurice Hunter goes in and finds the shot not to his liking.
Usually good defense is rewarded with good offense on the other side. See if they try to feed it down low to him.
Parker goes between 2 Thunder. Won't get the shot, but he will get the foul. And that'll go against Bryce Williams. That'll be his first of the night.
Langston Johnson getting ready to check in, probably after the first free throw attempt by Arshawn.
Arshawn Parker hits 8 of 10 as well from that free throw line. First one on its way, and it's got nothing but cords.
And he will come in for Bryce Williams.
So Langston Johnson, the junior, in on the floor. Parker with the second opportunity, and that one's up, spins out. Rebound is lost by Miles Copeland, but it is picked up by Marcus Winters.
Armstrong had the poke out right there, almost able to get the steal off that rebound. Boy, the Brits are just all over the ball.
And they are paying a special attention to Miles Copeland tonight, as Copeland drives and has that one knocked away as well. That's MJ Barnes that took that ball away, and he comes the other end and drains the three.
That's all momentum right there, Jim.
You knock the ball loose on one end, you come down to the other, and you say, you know what? This spot looks just dandy to me. I'm going to knock this one home.
Yeah, I'm remembering the warm-ups where almost every Trine player dunking on every time down. It's a lot harder when you have five very fast and very skilled defenders making life difficult.
Turn away, fall away. Langston Johnson makes it a 22-12 ball game. Over the halfway point of this first half. Nice crossover by Parker. Back outside to Fordham, and the Rainbow catches nothing but net.
This is just as good an offensive output as you can hope for if you're Coach May.
Smith finds a cutting Johnson, and Johnson will get the bucket. He'll get the foul. Boy, that was a very athletic play by Smith on that one, too. Langston Johnson.
Fordham with the foul there, Jim.
Langston Johnson did a nice job to get that one off. Plus the harm. Ebling will check back into the ball game. Armstrong will take a seat for the Britons. He's joined with Zach Winston. And Johnston, who also hits 8 out of 10, has an opportunity to complete the three-point play, and he does. It's a 10-point game now with 9 minutes to play in this opening half. MIAA basketball on the Brit Sports Network. We hope you're enjoying this ball game tonight. It has started out to be a good one. We've got a little pushing and shoving going underneath with Dishop, and Dishop will pick up his first foul of the night. And that will be 5 team fouls now on Trine. The Brits as well with 5.
Those are the ones that have to drive you crazy if you're a coach. Happened over on this end, too, in front of Coach May. Just fighting for a position, get a little bit too much with the hip. Those are the ones that add up quickly.
Lob pass goes to Fordham. He works his way back outside that three-point line, and again, that net almost didn't move. That was a perfect Rainbow jump shot.
You know it's your half when an off-balance shot like that still goes down that well.
Winters running out of real estate. He saves it back inside, and a nice job by Maurice Hunter to bounce it off the glass for the 2.
And just had the physical mismatch right there going in against Fordham. If he's playing against a little bit bigger, stronger opponent right there, he's not able to muscle that one in the extra 2 steps.
Parker works behind the screen. Behind his back, down the lane, leaves it a little short, but gets the rebound from Ebling. The tip bounced around and eventually comes down to Langston Johnson.
Ebling just lost that off the fingertips at the end there. Otherwise, it would have been another putback opportunity.
Smith fires a 3, no good. Ebling on the floor to get the rebound, and he picks it up. Zach Winston brings it into the front court. Parker thought he had a shot, but then all of a sudden he found another spot on the floor that he liked just a little bit better. 31-17. Wow, what a first half.
The threes aren't going to rain that well all night, you don't think. But, man, you just, as long as you're hot, you just keep shooting.
Brits down a guy or 2 here tonight, but it sure doesn't look like it as it goes into Dishop. Ebling with the defense. Dishop dishes over to Maurice Hunter, who can't find the handle, and the ball goes out of bounds. Brits basketball.
Which is great defense. Student section really having an impact tonight. Get a timeout.
Brits take a timeout. 7:32 to go in the first half, and it's Albion 31, Trine 17.
The Albion men's basketball team completes the 3-game homestand with a 3 o'clock Saturday tip against Calvin College. And the Albion women's basketball team will play a pair of home games next week, hosting Hope College next Wednesday and Finlandia University next Friday. Both games tip at 7:30 p.m. Visit GoBrits.com for all your winter sports schedules and information.
Brits shooting 55% from the floor right now, Jim, including 50% from behind the arc. In fact, it just updated. They're shooting 50% both places now. 10 for 20 from the floor, 5 for 10 from behind the arc, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Trine 7 for 21, only 31.8%. 1 of 3 from behind the arc, and I'll tell you what, the Brits have been running them off that arc all night long, not allowing them to get that 3-point up in the air.
Yeah, what's amazing to me, Jim, is go back to the way this game started. Trine, 5 or 6 consecutive missed shots. It seems like inside the paint or just barely outside the paint. So you're talking about, what, no more than maybe 8 to 10 feet away from the basket. Very uncharacteristic, but then they did exactly what you would expect the Thunder to do. They started roaring back, and they made it very, very close. But then again, it was a game of runs, and I got to admit, the Britons have stretched a run out a lot farther than I thought either team would be able to do tonight, because these are 2 very evenly matched squads. You just have to keep it up. This is a hard pace to keep up. They have to do it.
Parker has full court pressure in the backcourt as Nick Bowman checked in off that Trine bench off the timeout. They go to Ebling here at the free throw line. Back out front as Devin Holmes has checked back in as well. Parker bounced past to Ebling on the block. Ebling goes through the Trine player, puts it off the glass, tips it back up, gets his own rebound, 3rd time's the charm, and Ebling has his first bucket of the night.
I noticed the Trine Thunder a little bit more aggressive on defense that exchange, but still Ebling able to keep the play alive and get a putback.
Britons with 17 rebounds tonight to 9 for Trine here early on, Jim.
A lot of 1-and-outs on offense for Trine, not a lot of second chance point opportunities.
Johnson will kick it over to Bowman. Into the corner it goes to Copeland, and we've got a whistle before everything gets started.
Hand check on the floor. Say this will go against Devin Holmes.
So Holmes, I think, picks up number 2 here as he'll come to the bench, and Jalen Fordham will come back in. Ellis Cummings now, the senior, comes back on the floor there for the Trine Thunder.
A little smaller, a little quicker now.
That's the one thing about this team. You go smaller, but they play extremely good defense, and they box out well, and they get off the floor. Look at this, Zach Winston, the freshman.
Dribble. Yeah.
Causes Pete Smith to put it on the floor one too many times. 33-17. There's the young freshman I was telling you about coming up here, Jim. And it's been fun to watch him play some basketball here early on.
And dribbling the ball is hard enough when you have a defender all over you like that. Darn near impossible.
Parker works off the pick, works down the lane. That one gets knocked right back at him by Ellis Cummins. I'll tell you what,
Cummins, my whistle right there.
Cummins at 6'8". Arshawn Parker at 5'8", so he's given up a foot to the big guy.
I think they got the foul against Langston Johnson, number 3. That'll be his first. Team's 6th, or team's 5th, sorry, but it'll be a 2-shot foul.
Parker has the first one go in and come out. Right now on the floor, it's Barnes and Winston, Parker, Ebling, and Fordham for the Brits, or Holmes, I'm sorry, for the Brits. Second one goes in. I'm sorry, it was Fordham, you're right. Those are the 5 on the floor for the Britons right now. Copeland works down the baseline, and I'll tell you what, even when he gets open, the Brits are making him pay as Ebling picks up the foul, I believe.
Yep.
And it'll be a 2-shot foul for Miles Copeland. But you don't want to get him, I think with a shooter like Copeland, you really don't want to let him get any kind of rhythm. And so far tonight, he's only seen 2 shots go through the backboard, go through that rim as he gets another free throw. And he cuts the lead down to 16.
And despite only 1 foul for Ebling, they know they're going to need the fresh legs the entire game. So Armstrong checks in for Ebling. Ebling will take a little bit of a break, but I think you're going to see those 2 subbed in and out quite a bit.
Hunter in, Cummins out for the Trine Thunder as Copeland misses the second opportunity, and the lead stands at 16.
And Fordham with the rebound. Exactly to your point.
Barnes back to Fordham. He dribbles around the Trine Thunder, looking for either a shot or a pass. It goes to the corner to Collins and then back out to Parker.
Got a
Parker
mismatch.
Dribbles into the lane, back out to Collins. Jump shot to Fordham, a little too long. That doesn't touch anything but the end line, and the ball will go over to Trine. I'll tell you what, it has been a very, very quick basketball game. Orseka comes in for Trine right at this point in time.
Take my hat off to Maurice Hunter, number 24 for the Thunder right there. Looked like a mismatch. Garden One of the faster players on the floor, but he held his own.
No doubt about that. Also, Maurice Hunter comes into the
Nice
ball
move.
game, and a nice jump shot off the glass for 2.
Very, very quick off the dribble there.
Marcus Winters with that 2. Rich trying to get to the half here on a hot note and a high note.
Thunder.
That went over and back. Almost got there. MJ Barnes saw the ball go through his hands and between his legs, and before he could get to the stripe, it crossed the stripe, and the turnover goes over to Trine.
You could see that possession being just a little bit out of sync, too.
You know what? This has been a fast-paced game, but both teams have only turned the ball over twice, Jim. Good defense on both ends, good offense on both ends, and so far this guy, Miles Copeland, is having a rough night at the Kresge. Hopefully we can keep it up that way. The senior out of Toledo. Jump shot from the free throw line, bounces in, bounces out. Boy, what a great job. And then
erased.
Nate Collins says, no thank you, sir. Get that out of here. Collins, left wing, jump, no good. Armstrong couldn't get it. Nothing but thunder around it when he couldn't control it, so Smith picks it up and he brings it into the front court.
I want to say hi to John Thompson saying, sounding great, guys. Thank you for watching.
I love to talk to you. Here, Johnny, good having you out there. Jump shot rolls around and finds its way in for Miles Copeland. And you hope that doesn't get the big fella started here tonight. Copeland with 6 now.
Good timeout here by Coach May. It's out of sync on offense right now.
Things weren't going the way that they wanted them to go. There's no doubt about that. So I think Jody with a good timeout to sit down and talk to his guys. 34-22 Brits up here on the Britain Sports Network.
The Green Dot Bystander Intervention Program officially launches at Albion College on Wednesday, January 30th. Stop by Upper Baldwin from 4 to 7 p.m. to learn more about the program and to show your support for ending sexual assault, dating and domestic violence, and stalking. Check out the program, sign up for training, and get some Albion Green Dot swag to show your support. For more information or to help out at the event, email greendot@albion.edu.
Britons have 17 fouls now, so Trine will be shooting the 1 in bonus the rest of the half. And Trine with 5 team fouls, so the Brits need a couple more to get in that same position. We're going to get a chance to talk to the new head football coach at halftime here tonight. Dusty going to stop by and chat. It would be a good chance for us to get to meet the new guy and get an opportunity to see where he's taken this football program next year, as coach retired this year. And it'll be a whole lot of fun to talk to Dusty Brewer here at the half. MJ Barnes with the basketball. Gives it up to Parker. Parker dribbles between his legs, takes the jump shot, no good. And the Brits have gone a little bit cold here as we wind our way to the end. Ellis Cummings there with the rebound. Langston to Copeland in the corner, but he had too many people around him. Now he works his way down on that low block. Collins has him. Copeland off the glass, no good. Boards get crashed, and the guy that comes up with the basketball is number 44, Quentin Armstrong. On the other end, it goes out of bounds, but they're saying it wasn't off of Collins. It was off of the Trine Thunder, as it goes off of Marcus Winters and out of bounds, and will stay with the Britons. They'll inbounds on the baseline.
Best way to remedy sluggish offense, ratchet up the defense. You erase their possessions, then at the very least, you're not giving up any points.
The size advantage just changed a little bit as Ryan Lowe checks in, and they'll go right down to the big guy. He had it knocked away, though, unfortunately, and out of bounds. Ellis Cummings got his hands on it. Copeland looked like he might have taken that extra step, but he didn't. Down on the block is Maurice Hunter, and Hunter is able to convert. So slowly but surely trying to work their way back into this ball game before the half comes to an end.
One thing you can say, though, is Maurice Hunter probably is not going to back down Mr. Lowe.
I don't think so.
He's going to have to get that jump hook going.
Fordham, fall away, no good. Leo with the rebound, fall away, and it's in. I'll tell you what, he's almost automatic when you get him down there on that block, whether it's a dunk, whether it's a put back off the glass, or that little fall away, as the three-point shot will go down for Langston Johnson. And now Trine starting to find their range here on the Kresge floor.
The Britons aren't the only ones who can start getting streaky from deep. Trine's got some good shooters too.
36-24, what a ball game we've got going. They go back into Lowe. Lowe puts it up off the glass, no good. Gets his own rebound, goes up and is fouled.
How do you guard him?
You don't, man. Maurice Hunter is saying exactly that as he looks over to Coach Miller and says, how do I guard the big fella?
You just realize you have 5 to give.
Exactly.
That's really about it.
Well, that is one thing with Ryan Lowe. You know, we saw him quite a bit last year because this team didn't have the depth that they have this year. And you saw him a lot in the first half. He'd get 4 or 5 minutes. He'd come back in the second half, get 4 or 5 minutes. This is his first stretch on the floor, and he's already been out and scored 3 with the opportunity to make his second one.
And it's a tough matchup.
It is a tough matchup.
It's just really a tough matchup because basketball has become kind of the Golden State Warriors style of up and down the floor. So when you throw that wrinkle in where you put the traditional big in the 5, then all of a sudden a team, okay, which one of us is supposed to guard him? You know, we don't play that same way all the time. You know, we got to change the way we're playing now.
Back to a 10-point game and now make it 8 as Maurice Hunter hits it from the free throw line.
He's finding his range.
He really is.
Basically everything inside the 3-point line right now.
Hunter only a junior. He's 6'5", and he's starting to find things going his way here late in this first half as Zach Winston with Smith on him.
Haven't seen an outside shot lately from the Brits, Jim.
The Brits were hitting everything early on. Now they've changed their philosophy a little bit as Parker drills one off the front iron, but the fight for the basketball still fought for as Collins was trying to get it up. The long throw to Langston on the other end. Langston misses the shot, and right there to pull it in is the big guy.
That would have been a big momentum 3 for Trine.
Langston Johnson didn't get that one to go, and Lowe was there to pull it on down. 37-28.
Need to push it back to double digits here.
Collins for 3, and again, this one caught some iron, so the Brits have gone cold here in the last couple of minutes.
No Brits around the ball for the rebound there, Jim.
Johnson again with the shot, no good. Rebound, fought for underneath the bucket, saved, back out to Johnson, no good.
Got a foul against Lowe, pushing.
Lowe gives the big shove to Maurice Hunter.
Might have been a little bit of an acting job right there, but I think that's frustration. You have one guy out hustling 4 Albion Britons for a loose ball. I mean, you got to take your hat off to Maurice Hunter right there, Jim. Just gave it everything.
Ebling will come back on the floor, and Lowe will take a seat. He gave you a good 3-4 minutes, 3 points, and he also importantly gave Caleb Ebling a chance to sit over and get a breather for a minute or two. First time off the floor for Miles Copeland as he steps away with just 1:18 to play in this first half.
What a fast-moving first half.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a whole lot of fun. Maurice Hunter misses the free throw, and Ebling right there to clean up the boards.
The one saving grace to that one is he didn't get any points off that, but just such tremendous hustle.
Collins to Fordham. Goes inside to Ebling. He gets double teamed, and they'll kick it back outside. Ooh, nice pass to Fordham, but he lost the handle. Smith comes up with a basketball. He'll push it into the front court between his legs. Over onto the wing. Behind the screen goes Marcus Winters, but he still had no shot. Smith thought about it, but didn't take it. Again to Hunter, who's got Ebling all over him. Johnson back to Hunter, right hand jumper, no good, tipped around, back off to Hunter, who seems to be everywhere right now. He missed that one as well, and Ebling pulls down the rebound.
Well, you just can't take anything for granted, though, with Trine.
Winston all the way to the rim, but he didn't get the foul, and he didn't get the bucket. Smith did a nice job of making life difficult underneath that rim for Zach Winston.
Now the shot clock's off, and Trine will presumably play for 1.
Smith at the half court. 9 seconds to go in the basketball game in the first half. Fordham taps it away. Smith having trouble running out of time. Johnson will take a desperation shot that catches nothing, and that will end the first half. And the Britons take a 37-29 lead into the dressing room of a great first half of basketball here at the Kresge in the MIAA. This is what we thought we were going to see, and that's exactly what we got. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll have the new football coach here for the Albion Britons. Dusty Brewer, good to see you, buddy.
So we were walking to school. At the corner, we waited for the traffic light.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really
smart,
want cheese pizza,
but
like at Luigi's.
sometimes her mind
They have
wanders.
this video game there, and Kate's got the high score. We should have a sleepover. Maybe I should pack my pajamas.
I remember saying, Laura? Laura,
I think I heard Mom say something.
the sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
When we finally got there,
She gave me a hug goodbye.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope I
bad
don't
day
have
at
another
school
bad day at
today.
school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Here you'll get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org.
Back out at halftime, and I'm pleased to be joined by Coach Dustin Buer, the new head football coach for the Albion football team. And Coach, welcome.
I appreciate that.
So it's been a little bit of a unique offseason for you, that you had a succession plan in place with Coach Rundle retiring, and what a legacy to kind of live up to or to follow in someone's footsteps. It doesn't get much bigger footsteps than Coach Craig Rundle.
Absolutely not. And the unique thing about the Albion tradition and where I'm coming in is not only do you follow Coach Rundle, you follow Pete Schmidt, who won a national championship. You have Frank Jurenko, Morley Frazier, Tom Taylor. All those guys built a powerhouse here, kind of. And I'm very fortunate, very blessed to be able to be in the position I am in. And fortunate, I always tell our recruits, hey, I may not have ever been a head coach yet, but I've learned under Coach Rundle. I've spent 17 years of my life. I feel like I got my PhD in coaching. So.
Yeah, for sure. And you see the way coaching in general, especially the trend, even if you look as far up as the NFL, you see, college coaches making the jump to the pros. You see, maybe 1 or 2 year coordinators all of a sudden taking head coaching jobs. So the whole no head coaching experience thing really maybe not as relevant or important as it used to be.
Yeah, and the thing that I was fortunate is Coach Rundle gave me a lot of responsibility over my time here. I went to school here. I know how the place operates. Like I said, I learned from one of the best that I could possibly learn from as far as a discipline side of things, how to coach football schematically, how to handle a team. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's going to be bumps in the road, I'm sure, of things that I haven't had to do on game day and things I'm going to have to learn, but I've learned from one of the best, like I said.
So I would assume, since the succession plan was in place, you probably had a chance to pick Coach Rundle's brain about maybe the lesser anticipated or known facets of coaching. What were some of maybe the aha moments over the last season that you discovered?
Yeah, and the unique thing I have with Coach Rundle is a great relationship, so I can text him if I need anything or if anything comes off the top of my head, like, hey, what do you think about this? But a lot of those things are like, Coach Rundle was a great guy he did a lot of things we didn't even know about. So it was getting a notepad, sitting down with him during our bye week and saying, all right, what month do you do this? What month do you do this? What week are you sending this out? Things that I didn't even know he did, and that might not be, my strengths in some of those areas where I have a good staff around me where they're going to get some of those responsibilities that maybe he did all on his own, but it was kind of all the behind-the-scenes stuff that I wasn't sure about, budget and those things that he's really the last 2 or 3 years said, all right, we got to get you ready to be able to take over somewhere, sometime. So that's kind of those aha moments for me right now.
So the 3 phases, I guess, that we'll break this conversation into, Coach. Number 1, you already have the staff lined up.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the staff.
Yeah, so Coach Wassel, who's been our quarterbacks coach, went in our Hall of Fame, one of our most decorated players here until Don Bona broke all his records, and now Kyle Thomas is coming up on those. But Coach Wassel is going to move from quarterbacks to offensive coordinator. He's been my right-hand man since we started running this offense in 2013. Grown as a recruiter, great guy. Loves Albion, and that's one of the most important things to me. You got to love this place, and then
right.
You're going to pour more into it. Justin Sweeney was our defensive backs coach. He's going to stay with defensive backs but take over our special teams role, and he's a relentless recruiter. He became our recruiting coordinator, took over for me in that, and I'm telling you what, I think he's better than I was at that job. He's on top of it. And then Tino Smith was our receivers coach this past year, worked with our inside guys. We moved him to a full-time role. He had just got done playing at Savannah State from Carmel, Indiana originally, moved back to the area with his family. We got fortunate to get him as a part-time guy. He's ready to go. Our guys love him. They play really hard for him. Great with technique, gets after it, recruiting. That was a big thing to me. And then the last hire I had to make was defensive coordinator because Coach Rundle ran that. And Mark Sheridan's the guy I hired for that position. He would have been a guy I would have called right when I found out I was getting the job. He was been at the Division I and FCS level the last 4 or 5 years. Didn't think he'd want to come back down to this level, and we started talking, and it turned into him saying, I want the position. I said, let's see. I said, talk to your dad, because he comes from a coaching background. His dad's been in the NFL, Division I, and his brother's quarterback's coach at Indiana. So talk to them, pick their brain, see if it's a good move for you, because I'm not trying to rehire next year. I want, 4 years of your best, and then if it works for you moving on, you'll move on, or you love it, and we got it rolling. So Mark Sheridan, he was a captain on our 13 championship team, played on 2 championship teams for us, and he's going to do a great job. Very high energy, also a relentless recruiter.
So right to that point, I guess the second part of it, the second facet, of course, is the recruiting class. Let's talk about the recruiting class.
That was a big deal to me. Hire guys that are going to get after it in recruiting. That's really important to me. I think when guys come to our campus, you want to be a part of something special, get a great education. We're about to make the leap, I think. Coach Rundle's had the foundation set here for us to take back over or work to take back over. So we had 152 kids and 6 visits before Christmas break. We're working on getting about 50, 60 more visits in. We typically get a 30% yield of those. We have our certain guys that are, when we have a kid on campus, we're serious about them. We're not trying to create a meat market of getting too many guys in. We want to make sure we're developing relationships with those guys, getting to know their families, making sure they're the right fit for us, and can buy into our vision and our energy.
And then, of course, the third phase of that is short-term and long-term goals and expectations for the squad.
So I think for our guys right now, we're in a really good spot where Coach did a great job of setting the table to develop these guys to make the program theirs right now. We were with a lot of youth the previous 2 years, and now these guys are old enough now that they know what they want. They had a little taste of success last year. We had 3 losses by a total of 22, 23 points. And they're hungry. I mean, we got a really hungry group right now. We had our first kind of housekeeping item meeting on Monday when they got back to campus, and guys are ready to go. There's nothing, I think, at Albion College, your goal needs to be competing for the conference championship at the end of the season. Last 2 weeks of the year, you need to be in the hunt, and we need to do whatever it takes, and Coach Mel, our strength coach, setting the table for that right now before we get into spring ball. I think we'd be frustrated if we weren't competing for the championship at the end of the season. I'm not saying it's all about championships, but for us at Albion College, that's the standard that's been set. And that was very clear to me when I interviewed for the position and earned the position.
And then let's talk a little bit about, every coach that comes in. Now, granted, you're already in the program. You're elevated to head coach position. But every head coach that comes in kind of wants to have their thumbprint or their DNA, so to speak, on the team, kind of to take an identity. You have a tremendous identity through a lot of success through the last 2 coaches that you mentioned. What do you want your identity of this Albion
and
Brits
I think
football
the
team
one
to be?
thing I don't want it, and I think it's unique, is I don't want us to lose the traditions of Albion College. We're not going to sacrifice academic integrity to make it happen. We're going to get the right fits for us, but our guys know, and I make it clear to them, when you decided to come here, you decided to have a target on your back for 4 years because everybody's going to give you their best game. And you also accepted the responsibility of the tradition and all the guys who played before you. So that's one big thing, is hammering that in, getting more alums back involved to talk to them about what their experience was like, trying to get them to help them in other ways that's not financial, but this is how I'm going to set you. I want to try to set the table for you to be successful when you leave here and all those outcomes. So I'm all about the outcome-based thing and what an Albion education and your experience as a football player can do for you. So that's one big thing. And then, Coach Rundle even said, he's like, you got to be you. You're not going to be me. There's a lot of things that me and Coach see a lot of real eye to eye on as far as team discipline and things, schematically and winning games. At the end of the day, all those things we kind of saw eye to eye on. I worked for him. That's who I learned under. But I'm not him. He's great in certain areas that I'm going to have to work on. I think one area that we're a lot different on is he's a quieter guy, right? I mean, he's a guy you're wondering what he's thinking sometimes. Very stoic. But I think we're both extremely passionate and fiery and competitive too. That's one thing I got from him all those years that I've been around him. So, we'll have our little tweaks and things like that, but I think the big thing is we want relentless competitors on and off the field, and that's something that's not going to change, because I think there's a direct correlation to the success you have on campus to the success you're going to have on the field too. So
winter going into spring, schedule-wise, what can folks look forward to from the team?
So right now we have our guys lifting 3 days a week. We have, I'm trying to think, they're going to be running 2 days a week. They're with our strength and conditioning coach now. That's there, and that's helped us a lot. Our school making the financial commitment to make that happen. because it's helped our relationship with our guys. We're not on them about everything, you know. It gives them a break from us. We get to hear how things are going, and we wholeheartedly trust Coach Mel with that. So they're going to be doing that up until about March 24th, and then we'll be starting our 16 spring practices, and it's all about technique and scheme and working on our core fundamental beliefs and how we want to practice and how we want to set the table for when they come back in August.
So that first game where you're standing on the sideline as head coach, you put the head coach headset on. What's that moment going to be like for you?
Surreal. You know, when you come here as a freshman, and hey, I wasn't the best kid all the time when I was in college, you know. I have demons, you know, but you know, if you'd have talked to me in 2001, I thought I was going to be a politician. I decided to be a football coach, and injury led me to that, you know, and Coach Rundle gave me that opportunity. And if you'd have told me I'd be here in 2018 still, I'd say you're crazy back then. But, you know, my wife went here, my sister went here, her husband went here. It's a family deal. I get to raise my kids right off the campus where I went to school, and it's unique. They get to come out to practice and mess with our guys. So it's going to be a completely surreal moment of, wow, it's actually happening. It's kind of like before you go get that first hit in a game, you know. Yeah. You get popped in the mouth, things go to normal. So it's going to be like that first thing that shocks you. I think I'll click back into it there. Well,
family really is what it's all about, and it's just the next branch in the family tree. Coach Dustin Beer, man, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. We're excited for the next football season.
Yeah, we're hoping to light up that scoreboard and keep this other team score down, and then make it an exciting season for you guys as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
We'll take a quick timeout, and we'll be back with halftime stats and get you started for the second half here on the Britain Sports Network.
Go Brits.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Back out at halftime at Kresge Gymnasium. Jim Bellamy getting ready to join back by Jim Funderburg. 37-29, the Britons lead. Jim, we can't thank Coach Dustin Beer enough for giving us some time here at halftime. It is just exciting as all get out. And he used the word that I was going to use when I set up the question about the last thing I asked him was, you know, game one, you're standing on the sideline, you put on the coach's headset. I was almost going to use the word, and then he used it. He said it's going to be surreal. It's going to be surreal putting on the head coach's headset and realizing that, you know, this is really happening. And he kind of took me through the last, say, 15, 20 years of his life and how, you know, just if you had even asked him last year, do you think this is going to happen? He said, you know, I would have told you were crazy. But, you know, it's just the next branch in the family tree, and he hit it right on the head that it really is, you know, he has ties, his wife has ties to Albion, his sister, his sister's husband. You know, they want their family to grow up in this community and be a part of this community for a long time to come. And I think the coaches embody that, the players embody that. It really is going to be a family-type atmosphere.
What else is surreal? The ball game that we've got going right now, 37-29, as we're about ready to get this thing going to the third quarter. Let's look at a couple of quick stats here. The Britons end up shooting 39% in that first half, 40% from behind the arc, 62% from the free throw line. For Trine as a team, 33% from the floor, 33% from behind the arc, 50% from the free throw line. Leading scorers in the first half for Trine, it was Langston Johnston with 8, and Miles Copeland with 6, and that is well below Copeland's average for the season. For the Britons here tonight, Jalen Fordham with 11 points, 7 for Arshwan Parker, and 5 points for Nate Collins here tonight. The couple things that really do stick out to you here was the ability for the Britons to rebound tonight. They've got an 8-rebound edge, 28-8 over the Trine Thunder, and the points in the paint, 10-8 Albion, and the second chance points, 9-3 Albion, and the bench points tonight, 12-8 Albion. Biggest lead of the first half, 17 for Albion at the 6:25 mark, and Trine has not led in this basketball game all night long. So an interesting night of basketball here at the Kresge.
Men's scores from around the conference. Calvin leads Kalamazoo 45-34 early in the second. Hope beating Alma 49-32 early in the second. Your halftime score 37-29 Albion over Trine. And Adrian leads Olivet midway through the first half 18-10.
Britons will go back in both teams to their starting lineup. It'll be Parker, Bennett, Fordham, Collins, and Ebling for the Brits to open things up. Smith, Johnson, Winters, Cummins, and Copeland for the Trine Thunder, and the Brits turn the ball over, and it's Marcus Winters that'll bring it in the front court. Smith right away fires, no good. Ebling with the rebound. So both teams have the ball once, neither team with a bucket. We stay at 37-29 as we open up what we expect to be a great second half of basketball. Three-point shot will go a little too long there for Parker, and Langston Johnson there for the rebound.
I was kind of hoping the student section would switch sides at halftime, Jim.
Yeah, I was too. Get them down on the other end here. Again, a shot no good, and Ebling there for the rebound, and Langston Johnson, the 6'2 junior, just a little bit too long on that one. Great to have the coach. It's going to be a fun football season, but right now we've got half a basketball season as Caleb Ebling finds a wide open lane, and Nate Collins finds Ebling for the easy lay-in.
Somebody forgot to switch on defense right there, and rather than come over and commit an unnecessary and one foul, they just let that one go.
Winters goes all the way to the rim, but he's got a guy in his face, and he misses the shot, and it's Brits basketball.
Might have got poked in the eye, too, by accident.
Collins for three from the left corner, and the Brits are off to a quick start.
Timeout.
Coach Miller wants to bring people over and talk a little bit, and I think he's bringing his team right out to midcourt stripe.
Well, here's the funniest part of that timeout, Jim, is he yelled timeout at the official. The official right next to him could not hear him.
Yeah.
He even signaled his arms out to full timeout, and then he just started walking out on the court, and the official was completely oblivious to it. He was, oh, go ahead and, bring the ball down. Oh, what are you doing out here on the floor? So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach Miller was not happy the way his guys started. I think what got him most, even after the turnovers, was that wide open lay-in that they allowed Caleb Ebling to have on the other end, where they didn't get the switch and where he basically just took his time, moseyed to the rim, and laid it off the glass.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do on defense, though? Because if you come over late, all you're going to do is hit him on the arm and give him an and one.
Nick Bowman in the ball game now for Trine with that timeout. Forced shot underneath won't go for Miles Copeland, but he follows his own shot up with a bucket. And you got to look for Copeland to try to get off in this second half. They're going to need him.
Britons just need to keep working on the fundamentals, screening him out.
Ebling has the double team. Now he goes back to a single team.
Nice move.
Works to the left, works to the right. Ball won't go in. Fights for it, gets his own rebound. Back up.
Oh, yeah.
For the left hand put back.
That'll get the crowd going more than anything. Just a little layup like that, but it's how we got the layup.
Ebling
Fighting
just
hard.
kept fighting and fighting for that basketball. Finally got it to go in. Copeland goes to the rim, no good, and Ebling pulls down the rebound again.
Maybe a temperature check three right here.
You might see one.
Nope, they're going to play a little bit more.
Devin Holmes in the ball game for the Brits.
Ooh.
He feeds underneath, and unfortunately for Arshawn Parker, he couldn't get that lay-in to roll in.
What an angle to shoot at, though, Jim. Had the right spin on it and everything, but just tough shot.
Nobody on this Brits team that aren't afraid to attack that rim, Jim, no matter how big the opponent is on the bottom side. Oh, did he not step out of bounds? I guess not. The official right there.
Magic act.
What a tightrope job that was down underneath there by Ellis Cummings.
Looked like almost an offensive foul there, Jim.
Reach-in foul will go either against Bennett or, yeah, they're going to give it to Bennett. That will be his second. Bobby said that early on Bennett was not credited for a foul at the very beginning of the game. They changed that at the half, so that will be now, well, that'll be, I think, well, no, it was credited to Bennett early. That will be his first now. Only one now on Bennett. It was Parker was the guy that got the foul. They credited to Bennett, and they now credited back. So that is one now on Dylan Bennett here in this second half.
What kind of world are we living in when we don't trust the official scorer?
Turned around jumper catches nothing but nets there for Ellis Cummins. And we've got an 11-point basketball game, 44-33.
Yeah, not having that student section down there. The sound travels, but it's a little easier down on that side.
Fordham with the jump shot, no good. Rebound comes off to Ellis Cummings.
Good box out.
Ball goes down to the baseline again to 24 Hunter. Back outside to Smith. Over to Johnson. Down inside to 35 Nick Bowman, and Bowman gets his first bucket of the night.
Looks like Ebling's calling for a sub. Armstrong goes to the scores table to oblige.
9-point basketball game as Parker brings it into the front court. He's got Bowman on him. Picks up his dribble now. He gives it over to Collins. Collins will find Fordham.
Solid defense by Trine, Jim.
Ebeling gets double teamed, kicks it over to the right wing, and Arshawn Parker makes everybody pay as Parker knocks down a triple to make it 47-35.
I want to say hi to Robert Jones watching from Warren, Michigan. His twins O-lineman Jared and Jordan, 72 and 74. Great job with the play-by-play. We love the Brits. Thanks, Robert.
And we have a lot of fun doing these ball games, Robert, and we love having you out there. Bowman has Parker on him, so we give the basketball up. Kick comes back to Bowman on the left side for three, and Bowman knocks down the bucket.
Right in front of his bench.
That's 5 for that young fella tonight.
No safer a spot on the floor, really.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
If you're going to feel comfortable on the floor, it's going to be in front of your bench.
Arshawn Parker has Bowman on him as he falls away, doesn't get the call, and Bowman cleans up the rebound, and he'll bring it to the front court.
Good no call right there. Leaning back, really no contact.
Smith has Collins. Fordham now looking at Langston Johnson. Ball almost gets thrown away by Smith, but he controls it. 15 to shoot. Bowman, who hit that last three, looked at one, but then gave it up.
Brits turn for some solid defense here as the crowd gets behind them.
Bowman from the same spot and the same result. And Parker says, my goodness, I'm going to have to get a little tighter on him. It's a 6-point game now. 47-41.
The threes that helped the Brits pull ahead in the first half now draw the Trine Thunder closer.
Something about that end there, Jimmy, and a fast start in this building here tonight. Good defense by Trine as they're starting to ratchet things down just a little bit.
This is where the Britons need to stay sharp.
Kick out is stolen by Smith, and Collins will foul him so he doesn't get the run out.
Exactly, yep. Good foul right there. Want to also say hi to Tyson May. Says you're all doing a fantastic job watching from Coach May's hometown of Elida, Ohio.
There you go. Another Ohio boy. Massive substitution for the Britons as they'll bring in Devin Holmes, Quentin Armstrong, MJ Barnes, and Zach Winston, and then a timeout called after that.
It's a good timeout right there.
I think so too.
You don't sub that many players in without sending a message to your team.
So the Brits will sit down with Coach Jody May and they'll chit-chat just a little bit. And the Brits off to kind of a slow start here in this second half. They're shooting 42% now, 16 for 38 from the floor. And Trine starting to pick things up just a little bit on their end. And they've closed this gap down to a 47-41 ball game right now as we update our stats.
Adrian defeats Olivet tonight, 62-40 on the women's side. Calvin leading Kalamazoo 49-20 early in the third. Start of the second, Trine leading Albion 35-17. And Hope all over St. Mary's at home 58-17 in the third.
Trine now shooting 37%, the Brits 40%. Trine with the basketball and a chance to get as close as they've been for a long time with a bucket on this end. Bowman shows but keeps it.
The three makes it a one-possession game, Jim. Hard to imagine.
Smith gives it to Miles Copeland. Copeland back out to Winters. Winters dribbles into trouble and then kicks it back out to Copeland, who just can't find the range here yet tonight, and we hope it stays that way. Fordham pulls it down.
Pass.
Long pass down to Quentin Armstrong for the easy lay-in, and the Brits go back by 8.
When a player hustles like that, gets past his man down court, you can't make it obvious, but man, what a beautiful pass, threading the needle for an easy layup.
Smith, and he's got Barnes on him, has to give the basketball up. Down to the low block it goes to Copeland, and he'll bring it back outside.
This would be a good matchup here.
Spin, leaves it short, rebound comes off to Trine, and it just barely rolls over the rim for Marcus Winters.
Yep. Their guards aren't afraid to attack the rim either, Jim. Just another example of how evenly matched these two teams are, even philosophically. The guards attack.
Fordham for three. Got it. 52-43.
It was a fun basketball game.
Smith looking for somebody that's open, and there just aren't that many out here tonight. Hunter would give the basketball off to Winters. They'll work it around to the right corner, then back out front. Copeland, who's just having a slow night tonight, and we hope he stays that way. Smith around the screen and the three-point shot, and that's 3 of them they've made now in this second half, and that's 6 now for Pete Smith.
And you'll give him an off-balance look like that, but you just can't let him get hot.
Devin Holmes will give the basketball up to Barnes. Fordham, who's feeling it, lets it fly from the top of the key, no good. And the rebound comes off to Ellis Cummins.
Good job trying to follow the shot right there, but a good box out by Hunter.
Smith loses the handle, goes to the floor to get it. Now he's got trouble trying to call a timeout. We've got a jump ball, I believe, unless they gave him the timeout. Let's see what the call was going to be.
Oh, they did jump ball, you're right.
Arrows pointing towards Trine, so they'll keep that one. But Smith was doing everything he could to get his 2 hands together to call that timeout, and the Brits just weren't having it.
That's what I was thinking, you know. If only you were born with 3 arms, then you'd be able to still hold that ball and get a timeout.
Aiden Warzecki comes into the basketball game. Ball goes down to the low block and a whistle and a foul, and let's see if it was on the floor or if the shot will count. We'll see.
It's got to be going against Armstrong, right?
Yep. I think it's, well, let's see. I think the basket will count, I believe, and they're going to give him 1 shot.
Yep, they did get Armstrong on the foul. This will be an and 1. That was a lengthy continuation right there. Looked like he got him as he was collecting the ball before he even went up, but.
Free throw rolls around and comes back out, and Ebling's there to collect it.
There you go.
Winston with the basketball, the Brits up by 4.
Picking up a little bit more intensity. Back to that man full court press.
Copeland looking at Bennett. Winston gets a shift to the big guy Cummins. He'll give it up to Ebling underneath, who's got a triple team. And when he goes up to take the shot, he'll get fouled. The ball won't go in, and we'll see who that's going against.
Yep. That'll be Ellis Cummings on the foul. Is that number 3?
Yep, 3 on Cummings tonight.
He's a guy they can ill afford, Jim, to pick up number 4 anytime soon.
Evelyn gets the first one.
Well, definitely one of the tougher defenders they have.
Yeah, no doubt.
Another difficult matchup. The first free throw drops, second one on the way. Also good.
Evelyn gets them both. That's 7 now for Caleb tonight. And the Brits go back up by 6. And the crowd gets a little louder here in the Kresge. Lob pass goes underneath. Dribble through into a double team, and I don't know how Ellis Cummings got that one to go down, but the right-hand hook shot goes home, and it's a 4-point game again.
It's ill-advised until it hits the bottom of the cylinder. Then it was a good shot.
Ebling gets the rim over Cummings for 2.
See what I mean, though? He's beat on that pass, and still he's within just a fraction of an inch of getting a block.
They go back and forth here as Copeland finds his way to the rim for 2.
Could have had an and 1 right there. Looked like he might have got bumped on the arm just a bit. No call.
Winston gets it in the front court and then slows it up. 11 minutes to play in this basketball game as Winston looks for help.
Tough place to pick up your dribble right there.
Into Ebling, back out to Winston, into the corner for 3, no good. Ebling battles for the basketball, jump ball.
Easy.
We'll see whether this is a jump ball. Yes, it is.
That'll stay with the Brits.
So the Brits will have the basketball as it's pointing our way this time.
And you can see them look at each other and smile and nod afterwards. That's nothing against you. That is, I want the ball. And that you will smile as a coach all night long on that one.
Nick Bowman and Pete Smith check in for Trine. Nate Collins comes off the bench for your Britons. Jalen Ford will sit down.
Did not want to sit down either.
Nope. Nobody wants out of this one tonight.
He was calling out the out of bounds play.
Winston will inbounds underneath the bucket. Gets it to Collins, to Dylan Bennett, to Barnes. Back over to Winston. Crossover dribble into Caleb.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Might have got fouled twice on the way up, too.
Ebling just seemed to find a way there. Brits back up by 6 again.
Both these teams are like that, though. They can take a little contact as we get a nickel dimer underneath. This one's going, I believe, against Bennett.
He's guarding Miles Copeland underneath. They'll call him for the hold.
That's a tough matchup.
That is.
Both of these teams can take the contact and just be undeterred going to the basket. They don't mind.
Bennett comes to the bench, Fordham back out on the floor, and on the other side, Maurice Hunter comes back into the game for the Trine Thunder. Ball goes outside to Bennett to Smith.
Was just such a fantastic basketball game. That's a walk. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good defense by Ebling right there. Copeland a little frustrated right now, but he just had no place to go with the basketball. And the big fella, who's very, very talented with that basketball, just had no place to dribble. Nice job by both teams tonight, Jimmy. They are really playing some defenses on both ends.
This is why these two teams are going to be right in the thick of things come tournament time, I believe, for the conference.
MJ Barnes gives the ball up to Winston. Kicks it over to Collins on the other end. Ebling looking for help.
Oh, wide open.
Into the corner for a wide open three. Jalen Fordham says, I'll take that one. Thank you very much. 61-52. And the crowd here at the Kresge, very appreciative of that shot. Copeland with the rebound from Smith. And he gets a nice little easy lay-in. That's about the first easy shot he's had. And amazingly enough, Jim, he's got 14 now, very quietly working his way back towards his season average.
And his arms are just so long, Jim, that he's always going to be close to the basket. He gets that rebound about 6 feet away. That's just an easy lay-in for him, though.
Down to Ebling on the block.
Another
back
open
outside
look.
for Winston for three. No good. And the rebound fought for and brought down by Pete Smith.
That would have brought the house down right there. Would have pushed it back to 10.
Lob pass to Copeland. Off the glass, no good. And the ball gets knocked out of the hands of Maurice Hunter as he's going back for the slam.
Yeah.
Winston drives into some trouble. Smith takes it away from him, trying to call a timeout. Did he get it this time? Yes, he did.
Good job. That time he was able to shove the basketball into his armpit before, and he had two hands to be able to call a timeout.
Nate Collins down there wrestling the basketball with him, but this time he was able to get the timeout. And with 8:49 to play in the ball game, and the Brits up by 7. Trine wants to talk a few things over. Boy, it's been the game we expected here tonight, Jim. Britons got up big early, but Trine fighting their way back into this ball game.
Here's my favorite email of the night.
Okay.
Great job, guys. Best broadcast duo in the MIAA by a mile.
Thanks, Mom.
That was from my mom. Yeah. Nope, that was actually from Alan Aronson from Zeeland.
Ah, there you go.
You
Alan
are my all-time favorite person today.
Yes, you are, man. There will be a Christmas card coming your way, Alan, next year, I promise you. How's that?
The American Red Cross will be holding a blood drive on Thursday, January 24, from noon until 5:45 p.m. at Tennant Hall of the First United Methodist Church, next door to Goodrich Chapel. It is recommended that you schedule an appointment to donate by calling 800-733-2767 or sign up online at redcrossblood.org. Also, Jim, the Albion men's swimming and diving team will host its final home meet of the season on Saturday. Wabash College will provide the opposition for the meet, with the first event to go off at 1 p.m. inside the Dean Aquatic Center.
Well, for the Britons right now, they'd like to figure out a way to get a little cushion in between them and the Thunder as we work our way down towards the final buzzer of this one tonight in the MIAA, and a big ball game. And as you said in the pregame, Jim, and we've said so many times, it's critical to win the ones at your place.
Got to win the ones at home. These are two, again, the top of the conference, about as evenly matched as it gets. Probably the top 3 or 4. So if you want to be in that conversation to be the elite in the MIAA, you got to win the ones at home.
Winston putting some pressure on Fordham, causes the ball to be thrown out to Smith, and Smith has his second three-pointer here in this second half.
That was a long distance jump shot right there too, Jim.
Smith now with 9 on the night. He had 1 in the first half. He's got 2 in the second half. They're all triples here tonight. Ball gets tipped out of bounds. It'll go off Ellis Cummings and will stay with the Britons right in front of their bench.
Aaron's water bottle almost made its way onto the floor. This would have been an illegal substitution. Can't do that. You can't have 6 on the floor.
Jalen Fordham decides to come over and inbounds here.
I was going to say maybe they were wanting the water bottle to inbounds.
Langston Johnson there covering him. He'll get it into Winston. Winston has Bowman in front of him. Works off the pick from Ebling. Ebling then rolls to the bucket. And we got a reach-in foul that will go against the Trine Thunder.
Hunter on the foul.
For Hunter, that'll be 2. For Trine, now that is 2 team fouls. The Britons with 4 here in the second half. And
Winters
quickly in the games comes Marcus Winters.
And Barnes checks in for the Brits. Well, even when he checks in, he gets an earful from the crowd.
Inbounds pass comes to Caleb Ebling, and he has Maurice Hunter on him. Kicks it back out to Winston, who gives it right back. Double team, kick out to the corner.
Nice ball fake.
Oh, in and out. Boy, I'll tell you what, that looked like MJ Barnes had the 3 to answer in the corner.
Cut it to 1 with a 3 here, going the other way.
Along the baseline, Fordham with the defense. So the pull-up hook shot is good for Maurice Hunter.
It's a 2-point game.
2-point contest with 7:47 to play. Things are getting to be exciting now.
Yep, we said they were evenly matched.
Winston to Fordham for 3. No, and the rebound again comes off to Cummings. As you said, Jimmy, boy, he is a load on both ends.
Yes, sir.
Cleaning up that glass, Mr. Windex here tonight. All the way to the rim goes Johnson, no good.
Hit by his own guy there, Jim.
Yep, friendly fire as Ebling pulls down the board. Winston brings it up and then slows it down.
They need a good possession here. Been a little off kilter the last couple times down the floor.
Last year we had that meltdown in the last 3 minutes of the game. We need to avoid that. Collins takes it hard, but he'll get the foul by Smith.
That's a tough call right there. Smith had a lot of ball.
Miller on the other end, the coach Miller over here lobbying his case exactly for the all-ball type call, but the official who is right there makes the call. And Nate Collins will go to the free throw line to shoot 2.
He's got to be careful kind of staring that official down. He's looking for a clarification, but you don't want to make that too much eye contact.
Collins gets the first one to go. Armstrong comes off the bench for the Britons, and they'll also bring in Devin Holmes.
And Parker also checks in, Arshawn Parker.
So the Britons make a couple changes. I'll tell you what, these
fresh legs.
Teams need the fresh legs, I would think, at this point in time. I'm worn out, and I've just been watching the whole thing tonight. Collins gets them both. Lead goes back up to 4. In the crowd, you can probably hear him in the background. Love to have him on this end again. I think they should change ends. Johnson gets behind everybody for the easy lay-in. Langston Johnson with 10 points now tonight.
Yep, and you have 2 or 3 Britons kind of looking at each other with their hands at their hips. Thought you had him.
Barnes gives it off to Collins. Collins throws it behind Fordham, and here comes the run out. It's Winters. Push off. It looked like a little bit of a push on Arshawn Parker to give himself a cushion to the rim, but it isn't called, and the game is now tied 63 all.
That's the most important part. It wasn't called. Now you're going to see the Trine defense play even more aggressive.
Little stiff arm it looked like there as Armstrong runs out of real estate in the paint. Jalen Fordham brings it out, resets it, says we got 9 to shoot and we're going to use it all.
Britons are a little more tentative on offense here, Jim.
Collins all the way to the rim, off the glass, no good, but he'll get a foul. Armstrong was there to put it back in, but I think Collins is going to get a chance to go back to the free throw line and shoot a couple.
I think they got 44 Copeland on the call.
For Copeland, that's just number 1 on the night. He's got 14 points. On the year, he averages 16, and he had a horrendous first half, but has fought his way back into this ball game in the second half as Collins makes his 3rd in a row to give the Britons the lead again at 64-63.
If you had to pick, would you rather have the student section under your basket or the opponent's basket?
I'd rather have them under the opponent's basket all night, and I would switch them, man.
I think so, too.
We're going to have to talk to the boys around here to get these guys to move from one end to the other. I don't think there's any rules against that. I think at halftime we switch ends.
Everybody goes to your right so we don't have a log jam on one side.
I think that's the way I'd want it, because I'll tell you what, they can help you on your end. There's no doubt about it, but, boy, they can really help you on that defensive end a little bit more, I do believe, for my money at least. Devin Holmes will pick up the foul as he gets wrapped up underneath the bucket with Miles Copeland.
A little bit of Hollywood going on there.
Yep. Well, the senior's been through the battles a couple times, so he knows exactly how to make that happen.
Isn't it amazing when you get tied up sometimes underneath, you can flail your arms, but then you can go to the basket and get steamrolled and just go right through them like butter Warm butter.
Copeland got cut off, so he kicked it back out to Johnson, who gives it to Smith. Smith, who's been hot from deep. This one's a little bit too long, and it comes off to the Brits.
Didn't miss by much, though, did it?
No, it didn't. Thank goodness. I had my breath kind of held there as that thing hit. As he's been deadly. That's his first miss of the second half from behind the arc.
Usually at least 2 paces behind the line, too.
Fordham with a show and go. Down underneath, gets the ball back off the glass. No, tip to Fordham again. And then they lose the basketball out of bounds, and it'll be Trine basketball. Boy, I'll tell you what, you cannot fault the effort of Jalen Fordham on that one. He was around that basketball 3 different times.
Ebling gets ready to check back in.
Just couldn't control it as Ebling comes back in, and Armstrong will take a seat.
Armstrong was the one who crashed under the scorer's table, selling out for the loose ball. 2 Britons giving it their all right there, going for that loose ball. You tell me it's just a mid-season game.
Yeah, no, this one means a lot tonight.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
They're tired of hearing about how Trine's this and Trine's that.
Jump shot from the free throw line, ties it back up at 65 again for Maurice Hunter. Remember tonight, man, James L. Davis not playing tonight. Out with a concussion, not sure how long he'll be. And Jawan Perry also not available tonight for Coach May.
Good hands.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, this defense for both these teams now starting to get spectacular.
Chance
Marcus
for Trine's
Winters.
first lead in a long time. Got a foul.
Collins wasn't going to give him the bunny, so he fouls Nick Bowman. And the freshman now will get a chance to go to the free throw line to give Trine their first lead of the evening. Bowman is the freshman that comes out of Ohio. Oh, I'm sorry, no, he's not. Bowman is out of Fishers, Indiana, Hamilton Southwest High School.
73% free throw shooter on the season. That's only his 12th free throw attempt, though.
Barnes and Winston check back into the ball game. Collins will take a seat along with Devin Holmes. And we've got a nail biter on our hands. The JV game tonight went down to the buzzer, 77-76. Albion wins as Trine misses at the buzzer, and Copeland somehow comes up with that missed free throw.
The fundamentals that gave him the lead in the first half. Boxing out. Failed to do it on that one.
Johnson with the basketball.
Well, that's
Kicks
a push.
it over to Bowman, and we've got a whistle and a foul, and again, it will go against the Trine Thunder, Maurice Hunter. That'll be 3 now on Hunter tonight.
Established position, but don't use your arms. If you're going to use your hip to get in, they usually don't call it because you can't see it. It's when you start extending that hand out, that's when it becomes a lot easier to spot.
Who's the team that's going to be able to make the baskets here in the last 4 minutes of this basketball game? Trine still not with a lead here in this ball game tonight. The Brits,
I think they want to feed it down low to Ebling, Jim.
Brits have led from the beginning. They get it to Ebling. He gets it knocked away by Bowman.
It's a gutsy move by the freshman right there.
Good idea, but I'll tell you what, buckets are not easy on that low block tonight. They've not been easy anyway. Johnson, I don't know what he was doing, but there's the first lead of the night as he makes the bucket and kind of came up like somebody had done something to him, but I really don't think anybody did anything but alter his shot a little bit, and kudos to him for being able to concentrate and knock it down. 67-65. Winston all the way to the rim, off the rim, no good. Trine with a rebound. Bowman with the three-point jump shot, and he's got it, and just like that, Trine's up 5.
That's a big shot by the young man.
Well, I'll tell you what, for Britons fans right now, you're starting to wonder just a little bit what this last 4 minutes of the Kresge is going to bring. Last year, we missed shot after shot after shot, 7 of them to be exact, and then we missed a couple of free throws. And while we were up 72-64 with 2:57 to play, missed 5 shots and 2 free throws and ended up losing that ball game last year 72-64. Right now it's 70-65 Trine.
Kaylee Ebling is watching, says shout out to Albion basketball, go Brits. And she enjoys the commentating. The Ebling family's watching, so greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. Hopefully we can still bring you a W tonight. This is a tremendous basketball game between 2 very proud teams. The Britons, hungry to show that their 4-0 conference record is not a fluke and that they belong at the top. Trine wants to be back at the top, and they know they can't fall two behind. They want to steal one on the road. So this is going to be a very exciting 3 and change down the stretch.
When they're done with this one tonight, the Britons will host Calvin here on Saturday. Then they'll go to Hope on Wednesday. They'll be at Olivet the following Saturday, and Adrian then to end the month. And for the Trine Thunder, when this one's over tonight, they will go back to their home floor to host Kalamazoo. Then they'll be on the road at Alma, Hope, and Olivet. So both of these teams with some big games ahead of them here as the month of January will come to a close. We'll be back again next Wednesday night for the ball game here. And we're looking forward to seeing the ladies back in action again here next week.
Next break, I'll give you some updated scores as well, Jim.
Next Wednesday night, it will be the ladies hosting Hope, ranked number 4 in the country right now. The following Wednesday, we'll have Adrian here for the men, and then we'll have 2 games in February. The women hosting Trine on the 9th, and the men hosting Hope on the 16th. All the way to the rim is a bucket for Sean Parker. And he'll also draw the foul.
And probably the ire of his coach right there too. You don't want to just give up and let the guy blow by. So you got to play D, but you can't give him the and one.
Parker eyes this one and misses it. Ebling went for the rebound, but it went over his head. It'll be Trine's ball. Copeland runs out, wanted the basketball.
Wants to make amends, I think.
Winters held onto the bucket, the basketball, and it's a 3-point lead now for the Trine Thunder.
Nice cut.
Lob pass goes to Johnson, who gets fouled. MJ Barnes thinking he got nothing but basketball, and he took it out of bounds with him, but they will call that a 2-shot shooting foul.
Yep, said they, on the follow-through, said he got him on the head.
That is 2 now on Barnes for the evening. 7 now on the Brits, so we're going to send the Trine Thunder to the free throw line for the rest of the night with at least the 1 in bonus.
16 fouls against Trine, though, so the next one sends the Brits in the bonus as well.
Langston Johnson hits both of them, and we're back to a 5-point cushion.
And it may very well be a free throw shooting contest down the stretch now.
There's no doubt about that. 2:44 to play. Parker drives, pulls up, has it blocked by Marcus Winters. And again, you kind of wonder what James L. Davis would have been able to add to this ball game tonight. The leading scorer on this Albion basketball team. Going to miss the ball game tonight, maybe miss another one. Trine now just going to take their time. 10 seconds to shoot. They get it to Copeland. They give it back to Johnson. Johnson dribbles to his left. Fadeaway jumper. He has that one blocked, and it's going to stay with Trine, I believe.
Shot clock violation.
Shot clock violation.
Yep. It took its time going out of bounds right there. It went out right as the shot clock expired.
Whew, thank goodness.
Yeah. Well, they would have had to inbound it with less than a second, so. But still, I'd rather the Brits just have the ball.
2 minutes to play in the ball game. Brits down by 5.
Somebody needs to become fearless right here, Jim.
Jalen Fordham would be a good choice. Instead, he dishes to Caleb Ebling, and Ebling knocks down the easy 2. It's a 3-point contest. Brits need a stop or 2 and they get back up on top.
They need a turnover here, Jim.
Ebling was the guy that tapped one in against Olivet a couple of weeks ago.
But pass.
Oh my gosh, what a feed and what a bucket by Ellis Cummings.
That's trust right there.
Back up
trust
to 5.
That you're going to cut and that you're going to jump. And it was rewarded.
Parker gives the basketball off to Barnes. Barnes over to Collins, back into Ebling on the low post.
What
and
shot.
Caleb's got a nice little spinner off the fingertips. And Jody May says, let's talk about it with 1:07 to play in this contest, trailing 74-71.
71-58, Calvin leads. Calvin leads Kalamazoo with 3 minutes and change to go in the second. Hope is leading Alma 87-69 late in that contest. Trine, your game here, 74-71. late in regulation. Start of the second half, Olivet leads Adrian 38-29. And on the ladies' side, Trine is leading Albion 53-36 with just under 4 minutes to play in the fourth.
Well, you know what? When you take a look at the D3 basketball rankings right at this point in time, there are none of the men's teams that are on that list here at this point. But Hope is sitting at the number 5 spot in the country, and we will have Hope here coming in on Wednesday against the Britons ladies next Wednesday. And then Trine is sitting in the number 8 slot, and we'll have the women against Trine when they're coming later on in the season, but they're playing tonight. And they will be in town on the 9th of February, which will be the final game of the season there for the ladies' schedule on the Britain Sports Network this year. So 2 teams ranked in the top 10 out of the MIAA this year, Jim. That's pretty spectacular.
That shows the respect that the National Riders have for the MIAA, and it also shows the talent that's right here in our neck of the woods. That's a good thing.
Well, the Britons will pick up at half court. There's 1 minute and 7 seconds left. Trine will be shooting the 1 and bonus if there's a foul that occurs. And they'll bring it into the front court right now. Brits need a stop. Johnson with the basketball. Kicks it over to Copeland, back out to Smith. Back over to Johnson with 18 to shoot. Marcus Winter holds it above his head. 12 to shoot now for Smith. Gets it into Copeland. Copeland, turnaround jumper is short. And Nate Collins there with a rebound. 40 ticks left to go in this one.
I think they had the matchup they wanted right there. Just a little too far out.
Ebling goes on the work on the low block.
Oh,
no
the
foul.
handle.
Misses the shot. Tough situation. Rebound comes to Trine, and they have to foul Smith right at the midcourt stripe.
Yeah. Coach May calling for that one. Go ahead and stop the clock because shot clock's off.
Ebling had the double team down there in the lane. Couldn't get it to the rim. Referees, I think, going to allow him to play if it's not really flagrant at all, and really give Trine some credit. Pretty decent defense right down on that end.
Yeah, I was going to say only takes the 1. Now it's a 2-possession game.
Smith hits almost 9 out of 10 as the timeout will be taken here to maybe hopefully ice him just a little bit.
As you said, though, 90% shooter.
Yep. There's ice water in those veins. There's not much more ice that's needed for that fella, I don't think.
Even if you ice him, it's still a 2-possession game at this point, so really the pressure's off. You're kind of, you're playing with an advantage. You can breathe a little easier knowing that you don't have to make this second one to extend it to a 2-possession game. 4 points is huge. It doesn't mean if you're the Britons that you have to come down and start shooting threes right away. It means you still can be a little disciplined on offense, but you're going to have to move with purpose. You're going to have to get it up quick. You're going to have to get a good shot quick, and you're going to have to give yourself again. You're going to have to be able to stretch the game as much as you can, which means that if you make a 2, you're going to have to foul again. You're going to have to, work the clock and just do the best you can to extend this game as far as you can.
Well, for the Britons, they need a little magic here at the Kresge tonight as they come back out on the floor to play some defense. And I'll tell you what, maybe a little bit of help by Pete Smith missing his free throw and giving you the opportunity to have just the need for a couple of 2s instead of a 3 to tie this bad boy back up. Smith very confident, the senior, 5'11", out of Bristol, Indiana, Northridge High School, and he drops both of them through.
Probably just as well that second one is made, because then the shot clock or the game clock doesn't turn on until he inbounds it, and he just lost it off his foot.
Arshawn Parker loses the basketball out of bounds.
Now you got to foul right away, but you can't allow a breakout. Oh, timeout.
And that could be the end of the ball game tonight for the Britons. Oh, well, I'll tell you what an effort there by the Brits tonight. And I'll tell you what, the Trine Thunder are going to feel very happy to get out of here tonight, I think, with this W, as the Brits had them up by 17 in the first half and just had some troubles coming down here at the end.
Want to see what Coach May's drawing up. Well, first things first, foul. And you got to think if you are the Thunder, you're trying to get the ball in Pete Smith's hands.
Yeah.
As a 90% free throw shooter.
Although Langston Johnson hits 8 out of 10, you know, Miles Copeland hits 7 out of 10, but you're right, Pete Smith, the leader of the bunch, at 87% of the year.
So you have to look at it that way too, is you call that timeout. Normally you'd say, you know, I want the clock to run as quickly as it can so I can escape out of here with a victory. But, you know, you're looking at bigger picture. You know when they have to foul, so you want to possibly sub in your best free throw shooters.
Yeah.
So then, you know, it's who do you foul doesn't matter because we have, you know, say 4 of our 5 guys out there are among the team's best.
Well, as a team, they shoot 78% on the year, so
pretty good.
That's not too bad. There are not many guys that are on that floor right now that don't have better than a 70% chance of knocking down both of the free throws that they're about to get here with this intentional foul. And unfortunately for Arshawn Parker, who's played such a darn good game, to lose that one the last couple trips down the floor. Brits with some unforced turnovers here that's going to cost them a ball game tonight as they trail by 5 with just 19 seconds left to go in this one. Need a steal right now. Need a takeaway and an easy lay-in. Smith gets the ball, waits for the foul. They won't give it to him.
Ooh.
See if they can get the 5-second call. Wow.
What are we waiting on there?
And it took a while to get down there. We've gone 7 seconds.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to foul Smith, but Smith only had the ball for maybe about a second of that 7 seconds.
Yep.
So you don't want to get the intentional foul, but I think the officials are always going to give you the benefit of the doubt in situations like this. That
Johnson goes to the free throw line to make the first one. He's an 80%er too.
And again, that was only team foul 9, so it was 1 in bonus right there. But now he can totally relax on 2, even though he quickly shoots the second one up and good.
So the Britons again towards the end of the game not able to answer the charge from the Thunder tonight. And they don't even get that one. Arshawn can't get that one to go down. And with 3 seconds left to go in the game, they'll walk down the other end to take the final shots of the night. And the Brits, unfortunately, are going to go down to defeat to the Trine Thunder this evening after a solid effort most of the night.
A little bit of vocal give and take right there at the end. I'd say this game means something not just to the players on the floor, but the students in the stands too, which I think that's a good thing.
Britons will be circling their get-together when they head to Angola here in a couple of weeks to see if they can avenge this loss here tonight.
That's number 10, though, so that's a 2-shot foul. I think if I'm the Thunder, I probably don't walk into the student section to shake hands and say, you made this a great basketball atmosphere tonight. Thank you very much.
1 out of 2 goes down, and Trine now stretches their lead to 79-71 as the Brits just not able to make some shots coming down the last couple of minutes of this ball game, just like that when Arshawn Parker at the buzzer will not go down, and the Brits will fall to Trine tonight by 8. Trine does exactly what they needed to do tonight, Jim. They're able to turn things around, trailed all night long until late in this basketball game, and once they got that lead, they never gave it up. What a tough night here tonight for the Britons as they fall this evening, 79-71 to the Thunder.
Good lesson for the Britons to learn, though.
Yeah, it is a good lesson.
I mean, you know, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you want to stay at the top of your league, you know, these are the games you got to win. So you need to learn, you know, your Coach May, that's the message you're giving him is you gave it your best, but now you got to figure out, you know, you got to look within yourselves and within each other, and how do you take that, say, 3-4 minute stretch at the end of the game, and how do you convert maybe a couple, 2 or 3 of those possessions to turn this thing around?
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Because they're a great basketball team.
They are a great basketball team. There's no doubt whatsoever about that. This is a Trine team that really came in here to play some basketball tonight, and at the very end they were able to finish it up here tonight at the Kresge. So we've got some final stats this evening from this basketball game. Jim, why don't you take a look at them?
Excellent ball game. Unfortunately, the Brits fall. Do I have the same sheet? Okay, you have the final sheet there. I was going to say I was going to be reading halftime stats. That wouldn't have done us any good. Trine wins 79-71. They outscore the Brits 50-34 in the second half. The statistics pretty even. Points in the paint, 26 apiece. The Thunder did turn the ball over 14 times compared to 8 for the Brits, but the difference in the game goes back to exactly what we said right before tip-off. Bench points. Advantage Trine 24-14. You look at the final score, 8-point difference. Trine outscored them 24-14. That's plus 10 off the bench. So there's your difference. For the Thunder, they were led by Langston Johnson with 16. You had Miles Copeland pour in 12. 3 different players got you 11 points. That would be Pete Smith, Nick Bowman, and Maurice Hunter. 10 points for Ellis Cummings, 6 for Winters, and 2 for Jared Bishop for the Britons, excuse me. They were led in scoring. The game's high score was Jalen Fordham with 17 points, 16 for Caden Ebling, 12 points apiece for Arshawn Parker and Nate Collins, 4 points apiece for Armstrong and Devin Holmes, 3 points apiece for Milton Barnes and for Ryan Lowe. Again, though, the Britons led the game 33 minutes and 19 seconds, but that was all really in the first half and early in the second half. Trine played a tremendous second half, outscored them, as I said, 50-34, and they go on to a 79-71 victory on the road.
The problem that we ran into, Jimmy, came late in the ball game, where the Brits just had a hard time again in the last couple of minutes of that game being able to score points. And at that point in time, I'm trying to check down through the play-by-play right now to see exactly what happened. But you've got a situation. Let's see. I'm going all the way back on. Okay, it's got me backwards here. I was where I wanted to be, and I went the other direction here. It was really the last. Let's see. We'll go back here and catch it. We're getting close. The last at the they tied the game up. The Brits had the lead with 6 minutes to go in the game, 65-63. The game got tied at the 5-minute mark, and then unfortunately for the Britons, they just couldn't make things happen. They took the lead back for a short amount of time, and then Trine went on top 70-65 at the 3:19 mark. And the Britons just had some troubles at that point in time. They were outscored 9-6 coming down that last stretch. And when you take a look at the last minute or two of this game, the Brits stopped scoring basically at the 1:17 mark when it was 74-71. The last lay-in by Kalen Ebling at the 1:17 mark, and at that point in time it was 74-71. 5 more points then scored by Trine in that last 1:17. Brits not able to put any more on the scoreboard, and unfortunately for them, they fall tonight 79-71. You know what? It was a battle. When you go into battle without your number one scorer in James L. Davis, you know it might be a little bit of a difficult night, but for I think the coach tonight, he's got to be happy that it was the next man up. Okay, they all came in. They got off to a great start. At the very end, you'd love to had number 14 on that floor when crunch time came around to be able to maybe knock down a shot or two and keep you ahead at around that 5-minute mark, and then be able to take you to the end where you might be able to win this ball game tonight. Instead, you come away with your first loss in the conference. Not the end of the year, not the end of the world.
No.
Just one loss. Great battle against a very good Trine team. Now you got to go back out and right the ship on Saturday afternoon.
And learn from it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Not get down about it, just learn from it. Like we always say, there's room for improvement when you win, and there's room for optimism when you lose.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of room for optimism if you're Coach May in a loss tonight. You don't want to lose at home.
Yeah.
You want to go perfect at home, and then you want to try to go maybe 500 on the road. I think that's a pretty good goal to have, because there's a lot of good teams in the conference. Maybe 2 out of 3 on the road. But what it does is, with the 2 injuries that you talked about, one of the things that plagued the team here down the stretch was it looked like you had maybe 3 or 4 consecutive possessions where there was a lot of uncertainty out there.
Yeah.
I think the game moment kind of maybe got to the players just a little bit, but I think they were looking at each other for who's going to become that unspoken leader on the floor, who's the go-to person. And there was uncertainty and timidity in that, and I think that's ultimately what cost them. If there was that one player on the floor who really felt it tonight and was going to take over this game, that person would have pronounced it, called for the ball, and, you know, taking the rest of that game over. I think that's what you learn on a night like tonight. You look at each other in the eye and you say, okay, who is that guy for us? And it might be a different player every night. It might be Ebeling some nights. It might be, you know, other players. But you got to, who is that guy? Who's going to, you know, if we're down to who's the automatic, we're definitely going to this guy for the bucket. And as soon as you establish who that person is, and then, you know, the defense is going to adjust, and so then who's your next man up and your next man up. And so I think that that's really the lesson that Coach May has tonight is you played a great basketball game. You hung in there with a great basketball team. You're every bit as good as the record, non-conference and conference indicates. Albion belongs at the top of this conference. There's no question.
Yeah.
What are the little things you can do now to stay at the top of that conference and to win these kind of games where you pretty much dominated, just, you know, didn't have it down the stretch?
Yeah, no doubt about that. You know, there were a couple shots there tonight. You know, Caden Ebeling with 29 seconds left had the opportunity to make it a one-point game. Tough shot there right in the paint. Couldn't get it to go down. Couldn't really get it to where he wanted to go. And at that point in time, then it was a matter of coming down, fouling. And this is a team that you really don't want to have to foul your way through at the end of the ball game because they're going to make those free throws. There's just no doubt about that.
Yep.
We're going to take a quick break here real quick, and when we come back, we'll have the coach give him a chance to catch his breath, and we'll talk about this one. It was an exciting one tonight, but the Brits fall 79-71 on the Britain Sports Network.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
All right, with Coach Jody May tonight, and Coach, I'll tell you what, it started out so well. Your guys came out, you were hitting everything. You were up by 16, 17 in that first half. The crowd was going your way. Everything looked good. But, boy, down at the end, it just kind of, you couldn't pull it out there tonight.
Yeah, it was a good old-fashioned MIAA game.
It was, wasn't it?
And they're a good team. They're very good, and we knew that. And, you know, I thought we played unbelievably great defense in the first half. And that's why we had the lead.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, we didn't have the same intensity defensively in the second half. And, you know, they scored 49 points in that second half and shot a great percentage. And we just couldn't get enough stops. And, you know, that was a difference in the game. And credit to them that, you know, there were some tough ones in there, but there were also some easy ones, I think, that got them going to make those tough ones. And, you know, but, you know, I love the effort of our guys. They played really hard. And, you know, without James L tonight, it was our first game, and you know it's not that I don't believe in these other guys, but it just messes your rotation up a little bit.
Yeah.
And haven't played a game with that before, and the guys responded the first half, but they didn't necessarily respond in the second half. And but everybody has injuries, and there's no excuses, and you know but I give a lot of credit to them because they hit some tough shots and got some key rebounds, and you know. A couple of our shots went in and out, and there were good looks, but you know it's kind of the way the ball bounces.
Well, you know you can't hang your head off on a ball game like this one tonight because it could have gone the other way very easily. But I got to believe, and I was here Saturday, and I've been watching James L all year. And the one thing it seemed like we needed at the very end was that one guy to make that one shot, just one to go down. And then I think the confidence level of the rest of the team goes along with him, and that's the kind of kid he is too. He maybe would have made that one shot, and then the rest of them would have said, "Okay, I can make one too."
He's got a lot of savvy to him, and he's not afraid. And I don't think we have guys that are afraid, but he just has done that before, where maybe our other guys haven't done that. And but you're right, you know. But we had to move on. We had to try to be better, and without him, and you know, we did get some looks down the stretch, and just didn't go in.
I'll tell you what, I was happy with the way that you defended Miles Copeland most of the night because that young fella can go off. The last time he was here, he hit 37, I think, was in this gym.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for the reminder, by the way.
Well, you know, that was last year, Coach. That was last year. It's not this year, okay? Yeah. But he only had, I think, 16 tonight or something like that. And he had to fight for all of them, and he didn't get many of them in the first half. He's quietly kind of snuck his way into double digits as the night went on. So I think all in all, you played pretty well with them. Now, one thing I want to ask is, how do we change this end of the floor to that end of the floor at halftime? Can we do that at all?
It's probably a smart move because the same way in our Olivet game, we were up 17 at half and had to score some buckets down the stretch to win. So I don't know what it is. Our guys played loose in the first half, and they didn't play as loose the second half. I think that I don't know what it is, but you got to get that out of them. And maybe I should tell them it's 0-0 and all that stuff. I don't know. It's a crazy game.
It is a crazy game, and that's a darn good basketball team. They were picked to win this conference. You can see how they've got that opportunity. They've got the players. I mean, they got some clutch guys that have been there and done that before. There's no doubt about that. And they're going to be a tough out all the way through. But you got one more shot at them. You get to go to Angola to try to bump them at their place at that point in time. Hopefully we'll have all the guys that we need. You can't be unhappy, though, with the way that this month of January is going right now. That was your first loss this month, you know?
Our guys really do expect to win.
And
but if you would have told me that you're 4-1 and going into the next game on Saturday against Calvin, that you're 4-1, I would take it. I think it's just it's a long haul. We have some things that we need to work on and get better, and that's what I told them after the game. But if they play that hard and they work on those things to get better, we're going to be there in the end, and they just have to believe but they have to work at it and keep grinding away.
What's been the biggest change from last year? Because last year really wasn't a very good year. I mean, when you look at the win-loss record at the end of the season, you've turned things around considerably this year. What's been the difference between last year and this year right now?
Well, we brought in a couple of talented freshmen who I love, and you saw a little bit of them tonight. I think the difference is, our guys that were in the program last year to this year got better. Where I thought the year before the guys in the program didn't get better from the next year, and it's a credit to our seniors for working at it. I think they have great leadership. I think they're passionate about it. They're good guys. There's a really good chemistry this year, and I think it's because of the seniors, so I give them a lot of credit.
You've got some tough ones coming up in the next couple of days. You're going to find out your medal here in the next 2 weeks. Okay, you got Calvin coming in this weekend. That'll be a good ball game, but in a lot of ways, that's a good one to have coming this week.
That's right.
You can right the ship and get things going again.
And that's a great thing about basketball. It's not football. You have to wait a week. I think these guys are hungry and would probably play tomorrow if they could. But we need some rest, and we got to get better at things. But it's nice having it home on Saturday, and we'll see what happens.
Then you go to Hope, then you go to Olivet, okay? And you're going to find out again how good you really are before this month of January ends. Give me the feel of the guys in the locker room after the ball game. Do they feel like they kind of let one get away?
Well, I don't. I mean, obviously they're disappointed, and everybody, including them, think that, if you're an Albion fan, that we probably should have won the game.
Sure.
But I don't think they're going to sit and sulk about it. I think that's going to motivate them to. My hope is it's going to motivate them to get better. But this group has responded very well with those sorts of things this year, and have bounced back and played pretty hard. So I look forward to Saturday, and I think they do too.
When do you think James L. will be back? Any feel for that, or is there any timetable whatsoever?
I don't. He's got a headache, and he doesn't. The doctor said that he doesn't necessarily have a concussion, but he can't play with a headache. And he's going to see the doctor again tomorrow and get another evaluation on it. Maybe it's something else, that we haven't figured out yet. So he could go to the doctor tomorrow and be released, or he could be out another couple more weeks. I have no idea, so it's tough to tell right now.
Yeah, let's hope he's back sooner than later because it'd be nice to have him back out on the floor today. Before I let you go, let's talk about a couple of those freshmen out there today because I thought really you got some good minutes tonight out of those freshmen this evening. Devin Holmes looks like a very athletic young fella, plays good on basketball on both ends. You had a couple of unbelievable blocks at the rim. I think in that first half there were moments when this Trine team went, hold it a minute, that's supposed to go in, okay? And it came right back at him early, and he was one of the reasons for that. Zach Winston gave you some good minutes tonight. MJ Barnes gave you some good minutes tonight off the bench. 3 young guys that were up to the task tonight.
And, you know, those guys are good guys, and they're going through this for the first time. A typical high school player might have a tough time coming into this kind of environment and producing and excelling, and you know, they have to get better at things, but for where they're at in their career, they've been pretty impressive, and you know, I can see through the years that they're going to continue to grow, and you know, I think it's the nice thing that whether we start those guys or bring them off the bench or whatever it is, you know, that we have other seniors to go with them. You know, sometimes you get caught and you have to play a freshman because they're good, but they're, you know, we have the luxury that we can throw them in there, and if they're not very good, we can play our, you know, our other guys and our seniors. And so I think we have a deep team and allows those freshmen to, you know, we can put them in positions to be successful, but don't have to rely on them. You know, they can spot us some minutes here and there, and I think that's a nice thing about our team.
Couple of the years that we've been watching right now, this by far is the best, deepest team you've had. There's just no doubt about that. And it's just one bump in the road right now, Coach. I know it's tough, and it's a tough one. You'd love to have been able to get rid of this one tonight and get Trine out of here with a loss and send them back to Angola with their heads held down. But you didn't get it done tonight, but there's plenty of time here yet before the season's over, and it's been a good one so far, and there's a lot of good games ahead of you too, bud.
And I you know what? I'm trying to get our guys have done a really good job of this, of just playing our way. And I don't care who the opponent is. I don't care, you know, what the officials are calling. I don't care, you know, like we need to play to our level of ability. And I think for a lot of minutes we did that tonight. You know, that's my message. And it's whether we're home or away or whatever it is, we just got to play our Albion way, and you know, so it's 9 more games. That's a long way.
It sure is.
And you know, but we got to play Albion way, and if we do that, we're going to be more positive than negative.
It's a long way, and you know what? You're starting right on the top shelf right at this point in time. You're still in first place at this point in time, even after this loss tonight. So there's nothing to hang your head about right now. Let's just get focused, get back together, and get this one over Calvin this weekend. And we'll see you in a couple Wednesdays from now. And we're expecting a lot more wins and a long run into the tournament yet this year. How's that?
We'll see what we can do.
Good deal. Jody May, our guest tonight, and our coach. And I'll tell you what, man, it was a great effort. There's paybacks for Angola is all I'm going to tell you now. How's that?
That's right.
Focus them in for that one. How's that?
We will. And then I'd like to say one thing. Our students were unbelievable tonight.
They were.
And, you know, if any of those people are listening, thanks for, you know, coming out. And our crowd was unbelievable, and they were a big help. So
how can we do one more thing with that, too? How do we move those guys from that end of the floor down to that end of the floor in the second half? Because
we need
you're
to do that.
Man, I'm telling you what, when those guys get at it on that end, it's got to be tough. Jim asked me one time, what do you think? Would you rather have that student section on our end or their end? And immediately I said, I want them on our end, man. At halftime, we need to shuffle them all the way down that way and put them on that end, and we bring those guys down here. We do that little.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe we can call that the Jody May Shuffle. How's that?
That's good. I'll tell them that next time.
Attaboy. Coach, don't let the head go down at all, man. It was a great effort tonight, and you're going to win a whole lot more before the year's over.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for coming, too.
Oh, no doubt, man. We enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. Coach Jody May here tonight with us. Of course, the Britons go down tonight 79-71 here on the Britain Sports Network as Jim Bellamy comes in and joins me here one more time. And, Jim, I'll tell you, you know, that's a tough one. It's a tough interview at the end of the game. It's tough for a coach to come in because he thought maybe, I think like you said, this ball game at one point in time was going to go his way tonight, and then that last couple of minutes of this ball game tonight, everything gets away from him, and unfortunately Trine able to win their 6th in a row against the Britons here tonight, 79-71.
It stings and it stinks at the same time. But what it does is, for the good teams, and I believe the Brits are one of the best in the conference, what it does is it gives them an opportunity now to learn from what happened the last 3 or 4 minutes down the stretch here. Play with a lead against a team who's right up there with you and has been a powerhouse in this conference. Now you know you can hang. Now you need to take the next step, and not only do you hang, but when you have a lead, you build that lead and you suffocate the other team and you don't give them a chance to come back. You close the game. That's the next step for this team, and they're that good. They will be at the top of this conference. This will be a hard lesson to learn tonight, but the good teams take that challenge personally, and they find the people who are going to be on the floor, who are going to take the game over down the stretch, and they're going to get the big buckets, they're going to get the calls, they're going to make the stops on defense. That's the next step for this team, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
No doubt. Big thank you tonight to Bobby Lee, the SID here at Albion, Matt Aaron, also the athletic director here tonight. All the folks, the coach, our head football coach came up. Dusty Brewer came up at halftime. Thank you to him. And more importantly, thank you to our staff here this evening that helped us. And it was a fun ball game tonight. It didn't end the way that we wanted to, but boy, it really was exciting in the end, Jim.
Drea Hill ran camera, and Ken Reeker was the director. And yours truly, Jim Bellamy and Jim Funderburg, are privileged to bring you Britons basketball tonight, and we look forward to next Wednesday's contest as well. I want to remind you also, visit GoBrits.com for all the winter sports information. To keep up to date on everything in the MIAA, go to MIAA.org.
Women have number 5 Hope coming here to the Kresge next Wednesday night. We'll be here. We'll hope you'll be here with us. It all tips off at 7 o'clock here on the Britain Sports Network.